WCSM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Chase Elliott scores the win in the Ally 400 at the Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game set.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the losses of Amanda J. Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Caroline Fenton is here today. Hello, Caroline.
Hello, how we doing?
Outstanding. Ian is here today. Hello, Ian.
What up, what up?
Okay, first and foremost, congratulations to the University of Tennessee Volunteers, the number one team in the country, according to the College Football Playoff Committee. Congratulations to Tennessee fans.
Feels like 98.
You don't even remember 98.
I was a year old.
You don't remember 98.
It feels like it, though.
But number one in the country. We'll see on Saturday. By the way, screw the playoff committee. Let me just say that.
Why?
Ohio State number 2.
Well, okay, also TCU 7.
Okay, so I don't care about that. The only thing that I don't like is once the college football playoff rankings come out, they now become the official rankings of record, right?
Yes.
So nobody cares about AP.
Nobody cares about AP.
Okay, wait,
No.
okay. So all we care about now is I want 1 versus 2. And I think they did this on purpose.
They did this to screw CBS over.
I mean, it's like
like,
what?
why do you think LSU is 10?
Well, they cooked the books.
Top 10 matchup.
Well, I think they cooked the books in order to justify the front of the poll.
No, because
the
Tennessee has the strongest resume no matter what.
Just wait till the end. Just trust me. At the end, you'll see teams that all of a sudden that team was number 18 and they're out, but then that team is in because Clemson, in order to be, they've got to get an extra win.
It's
so
a
Wake
whole
Forest
formula.
is gonna,
Yeah.
they've
got
cooked the
ulterior
books.
motives.
But just screw them. It should be 1 versus 2. It feels like 1 versus 2. It's the game of the year.
It's 1 versus 1.
But again,
It's AP 1, college football 1.
congratulations to the Tennessee Volunteers, number 1 in the country. We'll talk plenty about that today. Okay. I didn't think this is the biggest week of the year. The biggest week. We got the college football game of the season, and it involves Tennessee. And we got the Titans at 5-2 on Sunday Night Football on the road at the Chiefs at 5-2. I did not think that we would have Jeffrey Simmons contract drama coming down the pipe. And guess what?
We do.
We have Jeffrey Simmons contract drama coming down the pipe. So I had no idea this was coming today. And all of a sudden, Ryan Porth texts me and is like, what is the deal with this Simmons article? And I'm like, what? And I went to The Athletic. They've got, some quotes from Simmons in there. And it's this long, giant piece about how Jeffrey Simmons is this great player you've never heard of. And he's so great and all these
Have
things.
people not heard of Jeffrey Simmons?
I don't know.
I mean,
But
turn your TVs on, people.
let me say this. Simmons is great. No doubt about it. Simmons is great. We talked about it on Monday about how lucky we are to get to watch Simmons and that the Titans 3 years in a row are going to win the division because they have Simmons and Derrick Henry and the other teams don't. But all I could think about when I saw these Jeffrey Simmons quotes, which we'll get to in a second, is at training camp, Jeffrey Simmons had a different tone when it came to talking about his contract. This was from July when all the Simmons contract discussion was going on. Here's what Jeffrey Simmons said then. Jeff, how you feeling about your contract situation right now?
Not talking about contract. I'm in camp, worrying about football.
Would you like to see something done if...
I am not talking about contract. I'm focused on football. I'm in camp. I'm here. I'm trying to be the best I can be as a football player. Everything else take care of itself.
Okay.
I like how you slipped in that second question, like, hey, just between us girls,
Yeah,
would
like,
you
come on
like
now, Jeff.
something to be worked out?
Come on,
here?
Jeff. What are you thinking there?
It's July, Jeff. We need help.
So the whole, I'm not talking about contract. Well, guess what?
You are
now.
now.
In the middle of the season, Jeffrey Simmons is going to talk contract. Now, I did get some clarification. Apparently, these quotes happened on the bye week and not Because if this had happened, like if he was going to be training camp, I'm not talking about contract, and then all of a sudden starts blabbing about his contract, about wanting more money. If he starts doing that on the week of the Kansas City game, we got problems. But apparently this happened during the bye week, so he gets like a half a grace here.
Okay.
He get a full grace.
Nice of you to extend half a grace.
Well, I mean, I don't think that he deserves, if he's going to say before the season, he's not going to talk contract, and then in the middle of the season, he's going to talk contract.
Well, he's going to talk contract after he's had a pretty darn good season.
Yeah.
It feels a lot more comfortable talking at your contract then.
So let's get right to the quotes, because it's such a fluff piece. It's like a knee pad piece, but I do want to get to the Simmons stuff. And here you go. Talking about Simmons' contract. Quote, Simmons' contract is up after the season, which is not true. The Titans have a fifth-year option, and they've picked up the fifth-year option. So that's just not true. But Simmons' contract is up after the season. This says, Aaron Donald set the bar for defensive linemen when he signed a 3-year, $95 million deal with the Rams in the offseason, an average of $31.6 million per season, making him the highest-paid player in the NFL who doesn't play quarterback. Simmons says the Titans discussed his future with him in the offseason. Quote, it was, we want you to be here, but we don't know exactly when we'll be able to pay you, he says. The Titans were like, we don't know if we're going to be able to offer you what you think you are worth. We want to pay you, but we don't know where it's going to come from. That basically was it. Not an offer. So Jeffrey Simmons is coming out, and Jeffrey Simmons is saying, they came to me and they said that they want to pay me, but they don't know how they're going to pay me. They don't know when they're going to pay me, and they don't think they're going to pay me as much as I want them to pay me. Pretty strong words for somebody who, for the most part, stays out of trouble talking.
Also, they don't know how they're going to pay me. I think they'll be able to figure it out.
Initially, this writes, Simmons didn't use an agent and relied on Jason Hatcher, his uncle who played in the NFL, Hatcher and others for guidance. He then started his own agency, Walking Business, which employs a certified contract advisor and Paul DeRussell. At one point in the summer, now this is tea. At one point in the summer, Simmons decided against reporting to training camp, but he ultimately decided to play out his contract. What?
Whoa.
What?
Whoa.
That's a wrench. Which, by the way, would have been so stupid. Again, we've been over the whole like holding out and what it means in this CBA compared to the past CBAs. And see, this is what, remember when AJ said like, I'm not showing up if I don't get my contract. And we were like, AJ,
You have to show up.
you're going to make $3 million this year. And if you don't show up, then every day it's like $40,000 a day and the fines are unforgivable and all those things. Like you have to, there's no way. That's why the hold in has now become a thing. But that's probably why Simmons decided against holding out, was because financially
He looked at the fine and thought, you know what? Actually, I'll go.
it doesn't make actual
Playing out
sense.
my contract doesn't sound too bad.
Simmons says, quote, what I'm making this year, some guys who just got in here are making, he says. When you are talking about D-line, you have to think about the number one guy in the league, Aaron Donald. I'm making $2 million. He's making $30 million. I asked myself, do I want to go risk that? What?
Like, do I want to go risk playing without a new contract? Is that what he's saying? Like, do I want to go risk getting maybe possibly injured and missing out on a big time payday if I don't get a new contract?
Is that what he's saying?
I don't know. I'm just trying to infer what he's saying.
So, again, just to recap, Jeffrey Simmons didn't show up for the offseason program. We talked about whether or not that was, he shows up for the mandatory minicamp. He doesn't do any practicing. Remember? Because everyone's like, what
on the
was
side
he?
in the sand pit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Vrabel was like, everybody has a different plan for everybody. And, you know, basically Vrabel was like, mind your freaking business. And
I thought, okay, is his the hold-in plan?
That's
the
what we
workout
wondered.
plan that he's on?
Then he shows up for training camp.
Uh-huh.
Then the first day of training camp, he says, go ahead and do
Not
it.
talking about contract.
He says, I'm not talking about contract. So no talking about contract from Jeffrey Simmons. No distraction, no nothing. And now in the middle of the season, yeah, I thought about holding out. Yeah, you know, I'm only making $2 million. There are guys that just got in here that are making more money than me. Wow. That is some tea. And not only is that some tea, I got to say this. Bravo to Jeffrey Simmons. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I think Jeffrey Simmons is weaponizing what happened to A.J. Brown against the Titans.
In what way?
I think right now, everybody who read that one quote, the one quote that Ryan Porth texted me and was like, what? The quote about, they say they're going to pay me, but they don't know if they're going to pay me, and they don't know how they're going to pay me, and they don't. Every Titan fan read that and thought,
A.J. Brown.
No, not A.J. first and now Jeff Simmons. There's no way they could do this. Oh, no, you can't do it. And I guarantee you Simmons, and I do wonder, like, I really got to break this all down. Like, who went to who for this story? You know, I did find out that they talked to Simmons on the bye week, which makes it better than if they talked to Simmons this week before the Chiefs game. Mm-hmm. But, like, wow, man. At the beginning of the year, no, I'm not focused on football. Now you're in the middle of the season, and it's let's talk contract. What? Like, dude, what are you doing? But it's brilliant because AJ is dominating. And so, again, the quote, Simmons says the Titans discussed his future with him in the offseason. Quote, it was, we want you to be here, but we don't know exactly when we'll be able to pay you, he says. The Titans were like, we don't. Basically what it was, not an offer.
I do think that was probably very similar to some of the contract discussions the Titans had with A.J. Brown. And I don't know that for certain, but doesn't it sound like that probably would have been the truth?
Well,
we think you're worth this, but we don't know if we're going to be able to pay you that. We can pay you up to this if you'll take this. And that's only coming from what Jeffrey Simmons said and my interpretation of it and what A.J. Brown told TD.
And you know what I think that's called?
What?
Negotiating.
Yeah, well, that's what they do.
The Titans are like, I don't know if we'll be able to pay you what you're worth. These contracts.
But it's brilliant by Jeffrey Simmons also because you're about midway through the season and this team could not exist without Jeffrey Simmons.
Could not. But does it look selfish?
Maybe a little bit.
I mean, here we are.
But I think he's allowed to be selfish when it comes to your compensation.
In the season?
In the season,
publicly?
That's a question.
When you were, I'm not Dave, not here to talk about contract. Can we get that cut one more time? Jeffrey Simmons at training camp?
How are you feeling about your contract situation right
I'm not talking about contract. I'm in camp, worrying about football.
Would you like to see something done if?
I am not talking about contract. I'm focused on football. I'm in camp. I'm here. I'm trying to be the best I could be as a football player. Everything else take care of itself.
I guess he's not worried about being the best he could be as a football player in the middle of the season then.
Well, I think he does, but now he wants to talk about it.
No. If I'm not here to talk about contract, I'm only here to worry about being the best football player I can be. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of the season, you start talking about contract.
But it was the bye week, so he didn't have to focus on being the best player he could be in the bye week.
Yeah, good take. good take. I mean, what do we make of this? I mean, here's what I think. And this is just me. Number one, wow, is he playing ball? I mean, this is like my number one interpretation of all this is don't worry. You know, just keep doing what you're doing. And they're going to pay you a boatload of money. And they're going to pay you that money for two reasons. One, they have to. And two, because no team wants to not have a Jeffrey Simmons on their team.
Yeah.
He plays pretty much every game. He never complains. I guess until now, he never complains. He never causes any problems. He's a great player. He makes everybody around him better. Jeffrey Simmons is the kind of player. I mean, you don't trade this guy. You do not move on from Jeffrey Simmons. You don't find another Jeffrey Simmons. Like, Jeffrey Simmons is honestly the number 2 defensive lineman probably in the league behind Aaron Donald. Like, you do not get rid of Jeffrey Simmons. So that's the first thing. So just keep doing what you're doing and don't worry about it. And they'll have to pay you money. Like, that's how this league works. Number 2, man, is he playing ball. And I don't mean like on the field. I'm talking about
both.
He's playing hardball.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is like, I'm going to put the business out there. I'm going to freak the fans out that the team's not going to pay me. The fans are already freaking losing their minds over the fact that A.J. Brown's gone. A.J. just scored 3 touchdowns and a half. Everybody knows it was the stupidest trade right now looking back on it. Wow. That is like a dagger right there in the gut of John Robinson. Hardball.
Well, it's not Jeffrey Simmons doing anything. It's just simply him playing into the mistakes that the Titans made and saying, hey, you want to make another one?
Now, here's the real question I have. Who went to who for this? Did Dan Pompei of The Athletic, who I've never heard of?
Do you think The Athletic really would have fished around for this story? Jeffrey Simmons is a great player. It's a great story. But do you think The Athletic really thought, you know what? I think the people really want to know about Jeffrey Simmons' contract. No.
I don't know.
I don't think so. I have to guess that it's this team of agents that Jeffrey Simmons put together and thought, hey, it's a good player.
What do we know about this Dan Pompei who wrote this story?
I'm surprised you've never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
He's been around for a hot minute. He's been around.
ESPN or something?
He's been at ESPN or, I don't know, Sports Illustrated. He's been around for sure.
He's been around.
Yeah.
He's on the radio in Chicago.
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 Well, I say this because Simmons' agent or Simmons' uncle, who's like part of his team, played in Dallas. So, like, if this guy was an old Cowboy beat writer, you know, that would make sense that they would go to him. You know, but then again, maybe.
But also, his specialty is writing like stories,
these
special interest stories. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the whole thing about Simmons listens to gospel music on his way to. I don't care about that. I care about the talking contract.
You don't care about what he jams to?
No. I care about the contract. So what do we make of it? 615-737-1025. The week of the Chiefs game, we for the first time ever, Jeffrey Simmons has decided to open up about his contract, and Jeffrey Simmons said he was considering holding out. Wow. Man, what tea. 615-737-1025. And here's the question that I have that we'll get into on the other side. The scare tactic. Is it working? We'll discuss. Stillman and Company, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Caroline, tell us about the Caesars Sportsbook app.
It is time for the Caesars Sportsbook Report. Now, before we get into the fun stuff, the odds, the spreads, the picks, remember that your first bet is on Caesars up to $1,250. Just download the app and use the promo code RADIOFULL, one word, and then wager. And if you win, then congratulations. But if not, you'll get a stake back as a free bet. Now, big game, fun game last night. Phillies beat the Astros in game 3, 7-0. So, in honor of that, the Caesars Sportsbook app has an odds boost going on for the Phillies win tonight and a Bryce Harper hit tonight at plus 185 odds. If you saw the Bryce Harper home run last night, you might want to put some money on this one because it was a hit. Open to new users in Tennessee who are 21 or older. If qualifying bet loses, bet amount returned as a credit. Most used within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Caesars Sportsbook. You bet, you get.
College football.
Touchdown, Georgia. Nice catch and move by Holden. Touchdown.
Lives here. Don't miss every exciting play each Saturday.
Into the end zone. Touchdown to the freshman, Dane Key.
It's all presented by Twin Peaks, your home of 20-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports, and by Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Have you seen the selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches they now have at Genesis Diamonds? If not, prepare to be amazed.
If people really know the watch world, they come in and they're in shock. They're like, I cannot believe you have this selection here. They're able to see them, touch them, feel them.
Meet Genesis watch expert Charlie Rivers, who says over the past few years, Genesis buyers have scoured the world to build a collection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes, including all the hard-to-find models.
Daytonas, Pandas, Sky Dwellers, a huge selection of Submariners, Hulks, Kermits, anything that you could ever possibly want. We have every luxury pre-owned Rolex that we have here. We ensure that it's in pristine condition.
So come in today and find the timepiece of your dreams at Genesis. Or if you already own a Rolex and are looking to trade for a different model or even sell it, Genesis can help you get top dollar.
If you have a Rolex, definitely bring it in. I would love to see it and do a complimentary evaluation on it and see what we can do for you.
Genesis Diamonds, now with one of the largest selections of luxury pre-owned Rolexes in America. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
The final matchup of the Tennessee basketball team's 3-game series with Colorado is coming to Nashville. Don't miss the Tennessee Volunteers versus the Colorado Buffaloes at Bridgestone Arena Sunday, November 13th. Be there to witness your Volunteers in action as they look to run their all-time record against Colorado to 5-0. Sunday, November 13th, Bridgestone Arena. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Presented by Red Cap.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Mike said that he expects Jeffrey to be out there tomorrow. Is there anything going on contract-wise with him?
No, I mean I talked to agents with a lot of our players. I've talked with his representation, and we've got an understanding of where we're at, and he's excited to be back and ready to rock and roll.
Where you are, anywhere close to a new deal, or are you proceeding under the current terms?
Yeah, we don't really talk about contracts, and I've said that before. I think that's a matter between the club and the agent and the player, and that's how we'll keep it here.
In general, John, would you consider redoing a deal with another year and then an option year after that left on it still?
Yeah, philosophy-wise, again, I don't want to dive too much into contracts and all that kind of stuff, but everything's a case-by-case basis. But I would say that again, we're not going to talk about where we're at from a contract standpoint.
We are not going to talk about the contract, but he will. In The Athletic, Jeffrey Simmons, quote, when talking about the Titans and the contract, quote, it was, "We want you to be here, but we don't know exactly when we'll be able to pay you." The Titans were like, "We don't know if we're going to be able to offer you what you think you're worth. We want to pay you, but we don't know where it's going to come from." That's basically what it was, not an offer. Simmons wants everybody to know that. So John was talking, we know where we're at, and we know, but apparently not an offer. Now, here's the thing. Here's what I think Simmons' camp is doing. I think they are trying to scare the Titans into making Jeffrey Simmons rich. And I'm fine with it. I understand it.
It wouldn't be the first time.
No. But the truth is I do wonder this question. One, do you think that Titan fans are scared about that exact quote right there? About the, they told me that they don't know if they'll be able to pay me. And every Titan fan is having A.J. Brown PTSD, especially seeing A.J. score 3 touchdowns and a half. Do we think that that is going to be an effective tool for Jeffrey Simmons to basically come out and say, yeah, they haven't made me an offer, and I'm just sitting here waiting, and I want to be paid like Aaron Donald, and they're not paying me like Aaron Donald, and they're not even making an offer to me? When we heard all the AJ rhetoric about how they're not making me an offer, they offered me $16 million, which we found out later was not true. They're, all these other things. Do you think that that's effective?
Yes!
I agree.
Absolutely it's effective. And I think it's effective independently of A.J. Brown, but add the A.J. Brown trade on top of it, and add on the fact that A.J. Brown is absolutely balling out, and the Titans could potentially be a single number 1 wide receiver away from being able to compete for the AFC. Yes, absolutely that's an effective tactic.
Okay, I agree. Do you think that it's an effective tactic with the Titans?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
You think Jeffrey Simmons talking publicly about his contract is going to get the Titans to move off their ass?
Yeah.
I don't.
I do.
Oh, I don't. I think this goes right up Robinson's rear end.
Why?
Because...
What, is he going to not sign him now because he's angry with him for talking to The Athletic?
No, but I think it's more so like... I think it's like, oh, you're not going to show me what to do. And now they'll make, they made the mistake on the AJ front of getting, I do wonder if they got too dug in on the AJ thing. Like if they got too dug in, about the whole, because remember they were like, oh yeah, we want to sign him. And we, he's going to be with our team and we want him. And then there's the Instagram thing and then the Twitter thing. And then there's
always a Twitter
thing. And it was all like a bunch of, every day it was something new with AJ. And then finally they traded him. And I wonder if they just got too dug in, like that AJ was making all these threats and AJ cut off contact. It's like people made a big deal with the fact that AJ cut off contact with the coaching staff. Now, I've never played in the NFL, so I don't know exactly how this goes. But it was like in the middle of the spring, AJ cut off contact with the coaching staff. How dare AJ? It's like, who gives a rat's ass? What do you have to talk to AJ in the spring about? Like, who cares?
How's your kids?
Yeah, like, you think AJ's
But it's a bad look, though. I mean, imagine as a fan hearing AJ Brown isn't communicating with the coaching staff and he's disgruntled with his contract. Then, yeah, I think that would make any fan nervous.
I'm done with the team.
What about, okay,
The team shouldn't be, if AJ, it shouldn't affect the team that AJ cut off contact with the team. That's an AJ negotiating tactic.
Yes.
Just like, because you think AJ's going to cut off contact with the team when it's, you missed mandatory minicamp, that's $90,000 a day.
No, it will not.
There you go. I mean, so I could see the Titans, this is the Patriot way. Remember when they dealt them? And I'm like, this is the Patriot way. And no one guy per the Patriot way is bigger than the Patriots. And that's what this team does. This team does Patriot way. Now, let's not kid ourselves. Is one guy bigger than the Patriot way?
Yes.
Okay.
There's two.
There, in all seriousness, there was one guy that was there the whole time, and they were competing for championships the whole time that guy was there, and they're an average team since the second he left. We all know it. But that's not how that thing was run. That thing was run as not one guy. Remember, Brady's taking all these great contract discounts, and Brady's this, and like that's how it's run. And that's what they're trying to do here. Regardless of whether or not it makes sense, that the same thing that led to Lawyer Malloy getting cut, which actually worked for the Patriots, is why A.J. Brown got traded, which was bad for the Titans. But that's what they're going to do. And so I do wonder if this kind of thing makes Robinson go back to it and say, here we go again. And if we're going to build our team this way, no one guy is bigger than the team. Now, I do think this one guy might be pretty big.
But Vrabel says don't do dumb stuff that hurts the team. And trading away one of your best players for the second time in one single calendar year would be doing something dumb that hurts the team.
It would be for this one decision. But then, again, if your program is built on these core values.
And then everyone's going to go crying to a national publication when they want a new contract.
All right, everybody wants a new contract. It's going to come out. Ian. Did we ever hear, in the year that Tannehill took over for Mariota, did we ever hear about Tannehill's contract?
I don't think so.
Did we ever heard, other than Derrick Henry just saying he'd be open to redoing his contract, have we ever heard Derrick Henry talk about his contract?
I don't know if we heard him really talk about it. We talked about, re-signing them together as a package deal, I guess, right?
But what did he talk about?
I don't know. I mean, mostly just trying to win.
He's never talked about it. Harold Landry ever talk about his contract? Kevin Byard ever talk about his contract? That's how they do things. Like, this is the Titan way. So what he's doing is against the Titan way.
But I do wonder, did it get to a certain point where Jeffrey Simmons felt like he had no other option but to turn to this? That they were playing, the Titans were playing such hardball with him and his team of agents that he thought, okay, you're going to do that? Well, I'm going to go talk to someone who's going to write an article about how unhappy I am with my contract.
I think it's fair to ask. I totally think it's fair to ask.
And then I will look to John Robinson and say, are you really putting your players through this whole process? Why can't you just sign your players? And I know you can't sign everyone before their contract is up, and you can't pay them $30 million a year, whatever it is. But still, I look to John Robinson and say, are you going to make your players that unhappy till they get to the point where they have no other option?
Titans are really running the risk here of being labeled as a cheap organization.
Yes.
I mean, that
and
is,
I don't think they
no
want
doubt
to risk
about it.
that.
So, I to answer your question, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is where it's like, I'm the one in charge, so I have to make the hard decisions. Like, here you go. You want this to be done a certain way. You want everybody to be like Harold Landry, who never talks about their contract, plays their butt off, gets their contract, and never hear about the contract ever again. That's what you want. You want Derrick Henry, the guy who gets his contract, shows up, wins the rushing title, and there's no complaining, no talking, no nothing.
Well, he's also an alien for a few different reasons.
Right, but that's what you want to build your team around. And now, Jeffrey Simmons doesn't want to do that. So are you going to bend the rules for exceptional players? Or are you going to hold to your ground to the same thing that led you to trade AJ? And if you're a Titan fan, I can see why you'd be having some anxiety about, oh, God, here we go again. Because this was the same thing. You know, the whole, like, we can't pay you what you think you're worth. That's what Debo Samuel told his mom in the Instagram video, that Torrey Dandy told AJ, the agent told AJ, that they know that he's worth more than $20 million a year, but they're not going to give it to him. And that's the same thing that we're seeing here. So we will get to your phones on this. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. But again, boy, this is some tea. And this is a drama that even me, I'm getting a little worried. Oh, no, here you go. But Jeffrey Simmons opens up about his contract 4 months after saying he wasn't going to talk about his contract. Jeffrey Simmons is opening up about his contract. It's clear he wants to be paid like Aaron Donald. What do we make of it? 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
Hey, this is Phil Forsberg. And this is Smashville.
Forsberg a shot, broken up in front, give it back to Forsberg, and here come the Habs.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 1063 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey Nashville, Chef Phillip at Bar Lines at the Omni Hotel. Come try some of our new menu items like the Nashville Hot Fish and Chips, Nathan's Hot Dog Burn Ends, or the Nashville Chicken Jam Band. Go Preds.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey, it's Joe Rexford for FanDuel Sportsbook. Folks, the perfect time is now to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. All you have to do is sign up with promo code Joe102. FanDuel, of course, has all your favorite bets, your traditional moneyline, point spreads, player props. You can combine them for a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. If I were looking, for example, at Titans-Chiefs, one part of my parlay would be the under. The Titans are really good on defense. But they're also really struggling on offense. That'd be one of my parts of a parlay. You do whatever you want. Just do it on an app that's safe, secure, super easy to use. Sign up with promo code Joe102 for that no-sweat first bet. Again, promo code Joe102. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbet.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line. 1-800-889-9789.
National Playmakers Academy with former Vols Buck Fitzgerald and James Stone, along with former Austin Peay Governor Vic Wright, offer one of the best football developmental organizations in the nation. MPA has over 30 NFL alumni, 800-plus college football scholarship signees, and 25 high school football All-Americans. If you have a student athlete in middle school or high school that is looking for the best football training and college football recruiting help around, contact National Playmakers Academy today, 615-456-2680. Or email april.mpafootball@gmail.com.
Tune in to ESPN 1025 The Game every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 for ESPN's Trevor Maddich joining me, Jared Stillman, on Stillman and Company as we dive deep into the college football world and all the latest from the SEC. It's all brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Did somebody say flatbreads? If you haven't already, you need to get to Twin Peaks and try out their new in-house made flatbreads. 4 options including the Hottie Jalapeno Popper, Hawaii 5-0, the Italian, and the OG Pepperoni. Ask your Twin Peaks girl for more details and availability.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game, live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Paul Feinbaum and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Is that something that you guys even think about or talk about, thinking about what would sell more with the football team, or do you guys stay completely out of that?
Yeah, not at all. Look, John Robinson is waking up every morning trying to build a Super Bowl team, and he's not thinking about where we're going to play in 26 or 27. So it is, he does a very good job of that, by the way. So it's totally independent. And I would also say too, this stadium project, our focus, we have been looking at it as much more than a Titans thing, right? This is something that was something that just had to be resolved, and we have believed that there was a solution like this one that could deliver just an incredible result for the city and for its taxpayers and for the community at large. And it's just so much bigger than the Titans. So our focus on the stadium has gone far beyond football. And again, John is focused on building the roster independent of any sort of future stadium.
There you go. That was Bert Nighill, president and CEO of the Titans, with us. Long story short, does ownership tell the Titans, hey, we don't have the money to sign these guys because we're trying to put money down to a stadium? Bert, no. Let me say this. Jeffrey Simmons is like, hey, they said that they aren't going to have enough money to pay me in the Athletic. And now you're going to be asking for $1.2 billion. Those things matter to people, regardless of whether or not they intersect or intertwine or whatever. Those things matter. When it's like, well, we're asking the city for 1.2, or the city and the state taxpayers for $1.2 billion to help build this giant stadium, but you don't have enough money to pay the defensive tackle. Why am I buying a PSL for the stadium?
It's a fair question.
So don't think that these things don't matter. And then you're sitting there saying, Jeffrey Simmons is saying to the Athletic that they don't know if they can pay me. And it's like, whoa. We all know why the Philadelphia Eagles are the best team in the NFL, because you gave them the missing piece. Don't be doing this again now.
For a first and a third.
So for 10 catches and whatever the hell you want to call what Malik did on Sunday. 615-737-1025. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Again, if you're just tuning in, Jeffrey Simmons, who vowed to not talk contract at training camp, has talked contract with the Athletics, said the Titans have not made him an offer. And I also love the Aaron Donald line in here, because I don't think Jeffrey Simmons deserves Aaron Donald money. I don't. Aaron Rodgers makes $50 million. Quarterbacks have signed contracts after Aaron Rodgers signed his $50 million, and they didn't get $50 million. Russell didn't get $50 million. Kyler didn't get $50 million. Carr didn't get $50 million. So guys have signed contracts. Deshaun Watson didn't get $50 million. Guys have signed contracts since Aaron decided to stay with the Packers, and they didn't get $50 million. And they're good.
But the difference between Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray, is the gap between those quarterbacks the same as the gap between Aaron Donald and Jeffrey Simmons?
An all-time great who's the best right now. Remember, Aaron Rodgers is a 2-time reigning MVP.
Yes.
And Russell Wilson's been to 9 Pro Bowls when he signed that contract. Forget that Russell sucks now. When Russell signed that contract, we thought that was a fair deal. And he still got less than Aaron, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey, I think, has been to 1 Pro Bowl and is a good player.
Very good player.
So, I think DeForest Buckner's like 22 or 20. So Jeffrey's probably somewhere around, 25, 26. Price will go up as the cap goes up, that fake cap. As that goes up, the TV revenues go up. Then all of a sudden the player
so probably will be around 30.
But he's not going to get 30. I mean, like right now, he's not getting 30. I wouldn't pay him 30. And I have the option because he's under contract next year. So just keep that in mind. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Michael's going to kick us off today on Jeffrey Simmons and his contract. Thank you for calling. What's up, Michael?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Do you think the Titans are just waiting for the salary cap to go up to be like, oh, hey, Jeff, we're ready to talk shop now? The salary cap's gone up like, I don't know, $40 million since you made these comments. Do you think they're waiting for that to actually talk to him about it because they don't want to count their eggs before they hatch or something like that?
No. I mean, I can't tell you why. I can't even tell you if what Simmons said is true. Thank you for your call, Michael. I can't even tell you if what Simmons said, that the Titans didn't make an offer and just said, we want to pay you, but we don't know if we'll be able to pay you, and we don't know when we'll be able to pay you, and we don't know if we'll be able to pay you what you want. Like, I mean, I assume it probably is true, but I don't know, like, how true that is. What's been relayed between the agents and then to Jeffrey and then what Jeffrey said. And, I mean, we really are talking about a magnificent game of telephone here. The second thing about are the Titans waiting for the cap to go up, that doesn't matter. The cap goes up next year anyways. The cap's going to go up every year after that. And not only that, but Simmons is under contract next year. So if he were to sign an extension, then that would happen years down the road. Like he'd get a signing bonus, and then that would raise his cap number over the next couple of years. But at the end of the day, the deal that he has for next year still counts. You don't rip that year up. You don't say, that year doesn't count. No, it counts. So it would add to it, but it wouldn't add significantly. Forget about the cap. This has nothing to do with the cap. It has nothing to do with the cap. What do we have in the text line?
Andrew texts in, and I don't know if I can say this on the radio, but I'll just say it instead. Says, I don't care if Amy and J-Rob have to sell their houses to pay Jeffrey Simmons. They can shove my club-level tickets directly up their ass if we lose him.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that. And I'm going to tell you this.
And that is not the only text in the text line with that same sentiment.
I would not harbor any ill feeling towards any fans that feel that way.
Yeah.
Because this team has so many not good players on it. And it is so carried by the few who are good. The idea of trading, and this is where, John Robinson's got to look himself in the mirror. You don't draft a lot of good players, John. I got to be real with you. I love you, but you don't draft a lot of good players. So when you screw up on Caleb Farley, that means you better find a way to keep Jeffrey Simmons. Because nobody around here thinks that he'll be able to go get another Jeffrey Simmons. Because you weren't able to go get another A.J. Brown. Your A.J. Brown's hurt and out of shape and has asthma and has 10 catches. So I understand the fans that look at this team that has basically become a contender because of 4 guys. Now it's down to 3. We were sitting here yesterday at the trade deadline like, you going to fix this 32nd ranked offense that has nobody on it? No. And the fans being like, you're going to trade away Jeffrey Simmons? Screw you. You're allowed to feel that way. I think you're allowed to feel that way.
I think that's fair.
Totally fair. And that's why the Titans. Now, here's the thing, though. The Titans have to use their leverage this time. No more AJ. Remember when we went over, every day, AJ was going to make $3.9 million this season, then become a free agent. Mm-hmm. Then they could use the franchise tag. The franchise tag was going to be $19 million. Then they use it again, and it was going to be $23 million. And we factored the money, and it was $59 million over 3 years for AJ. And so let's give him $64 million guaranteed over 4 years and whatever. The Titans have to use that leverage with Simmons. The Titans have to say, you're under contract next year at $10 million or whatever that 5th-year option is. I think it's around 10. You're under contract next year at $10 million. We are going to hold you to that. So if you decide to hold out because you feel like other guys are making more money than you, you're not going to get your $10 million. Your contract's going to toll. You're going to get fined $90,000 a day. Knock yourself out. Once you do that, we're going to franchise tag you. Then we're going to franchise tag you again. So you're not going to be able to command Aaron Donald money from us because we are going to use our leverage. Because there is no chance that there is going to be anybody on this team who is more valuable to us than you. So there is no possibility. Remember, I talked about Simmons, and I said the Titans may not be able to tag AJ a second time because they may have to tag Simmons. Mm-hmm. And it's if there's no AJ here and there's no other there's not any other person on the team to tag other than Jeffrey Simmons. So we're going to tag you twice. Use your leverage. But you can't lose the player.
You cannot lose the player.
Especially when you can't draft.
I think A.J. Brown balling out this year is the best thing that happened to Jeffrey Simmons.
They cannot draft.
They can't draft.
The Titans cannot draft. I've never seen anything like it before. I've never seen an organization that fails so miserably at the top of these drafts. And yet, 6 winning seasons in a row, gonna be 7, 3 straight division titles. Holy crap. They're doing something right. But
they can't draft players and they can't keep their players healthy.
Can't draft their players, can't keep them healthy, and then didn't keep the one great player that they did draft. Chris Sanders, former Titans receiver, he will join us next, and we will ask Chris. We will ask him specifically, what's he make of the Simmons comments? Does he think the Titans and Simmons are in trouble, headed down a uncomfortable path? and uncomfortable path. We'll get into that with Chris Sanders coming up next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in here on the program today. Let me tell everybody to be sure to follow us on Instagram at 1025 The Game. And when the Preds have a weekday game this season, it's your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click, brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty and Superbook Sports. If you guess a player that scores a goal in the game that night, you win tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Your next chance to participate is tomorrow morning at 8:45 with Robbie and Rexroad.
Your home for the MTSU Blue Raiders is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Every touchdown.
Yes, touchdown.
Every three.
Free ball, yes, sir.
It all lives here.
Middle Tennessee.
You can also hear the Blue Raiders in the Borough on 97.5. Middle Tennessee Athletics on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
On Fox 17 News, Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus looking at your forecast going forward. After a few isolated rain showers that started off our day, we'll work our way into an afternoon of partly cloudy skies. High temperatures today well above average. We'll end up in the low to middle 70s.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Genesis is actually a new beginning.
Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon talking about why it's called Genesis.
I love the symbolism of the name. It's a new beginning.
Boaz wanted the name of his company to mean something, to reflect his core values and the importance of starting relationships for people in love, as well as the relationship he wants with each and every customer.
It's a new beginning in their life for the relationship between us, the jeweler, the Genesis Diamond, and the customer, and it should last forever. Everything we do is for the customer.
Walk into Genesis and you can feel it. Genuine people who are solely focused on celebrating the best moments of your life.
It's not only my passion, it's my culture. Genesis is the book where God created the world, the day and night, the man and the woman. Every diamond engagement ring that we specially created for the customer is a new beginning for amazing, lasting relationship.
Come start your amazing, lasting relationship today at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. This is great. You can keep your low mortgage rate and still get cash out. That's right. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will come your way, and it only costs you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off whatever bills you have, credit cards, consolidate other debt, or start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need the appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Harman Energy is now hiring drivers for their Nashville team. Harman Energy is Tennessee's petroleum solution for major industry. Right now, they're offering competitive compensation. Fuel tank wagon drivers start at $26 an hour. Fuel transport drivers, $29 an hour. Plus, there's a $4,000 sign-on bonus for CDL drivers. Top quality benefits and a great place to work, Harman Energy employees provide totally outrageous customer service. Come be an employee owner with the Harman team. Apply now at harmanenergy.com.
Robbie Stanley.
To avoid non-contact injuries and not repeat last year,
Joe Rexroad.
Just wait until next year's national TV schedule comes out.
Robbie and Rexroad. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, the article in The Athletic, Jeffrey Simmons talking about his contract says, quote, "It was, we want you to be here, but we don't know exactly when we'll be able to pay you," he says. The Titans were like, "We don't know if we're going to be able to offer you what you think you are worth. We want to pay you, but we don't know where it's going to come from." That's basically what it was, not an offer. Simmons also considered holding out and said, quote, "What I'm making this year, some guys who just got in here are making. When you are talking about D linemen, you have to think about the number one guy in the league, Aaron Donald. I'm making $2 million. He's making $30 million. I asked myself, do I want to risk that? With that, Chris Sanders joins us, former Titans receiver, presented by Harmon Fuel and Energy, now hiring drivers. Chris Sanders, your reaction to Jeffrey Simmons, who said at training camp he wasn't here to talk contract, talking contract. What do you make of it?
Wow, that's all I can say as well. I mean, everything he said is right. I mean, he's one of the most dominant D-line guys in the league other than Donald. We got to figure out a way to pay the man, because if you look at the defense, everything works. The defense works because he is most dominant on the defensive line. So I don't know what J-Rob or Mike Vrabel need to do. They need to sit down and figure this thing out, because if you lose Henry, then all of a sudden, man, your defense goes from being good to being okay.
Chris, what do you make of Jeffrey Simmons, who said he wasn't going to talk contract at training camp, talking about his contract in the middle of the season?
I mean, I agree with him. I think you need to start talking about it, because the thing about it, say if he goes to Kansas City, knock on wood, and he gets hurt, then now he doesn't have the leverage. And I know everybody's saying, athletes shouldn't think about money. Yeah, you should, because it's once-in-a-lifetime thing. He's been dominant as a physician ever since he's been. And so I think that J-Rob and Mike Vrabel need to figure out a way to make sure they try to get this done. I don't care if it's 30, 40 million. I don't know what they are towards the cap. But when you're talking about what makes this defense tick, what makes this defense great, what makes this defense so special, it all starts with Jeffrey Simmons.
What do you make about the Titans and the fact that when A.J. Brown went public with his contract, that obviously didn't work out with the Titans? And I think a lot of fans are probably having this PTSD that what happened with A.J. could be repeating itself with Simmons.
Yeah, but Simmons is doing it in a classy way. And I say this respectful, and I respect A.J. Brown's game. But I think when you get on Twitter, when you start, saying things that are not derogatory, but saying things that are mean towards the organization, that's when it becomes a problem. Because even though A.J. Brown was a great player, I just think that the Titans didn't want to deal with the circus that came with it. I don't think that Simmons is doing it. I just think that he wants to make sure that he's taking care of it. I don't fault him for that, because just like I said earlier before, Jared, if he goes out here and gets hurt, he has zero leverage. He has the leverage. He's playing at a top level, so why not figure out a way to pay the guy?
What if the Titans were to say to Jeffrey Simmons, we know how much money we're willing to pay you, and I haven't been to these negotiations, and I know you had agents that did this for you, but if the Titans were to say, like, we know you want $30 million, I assume that negotiations work out of, we're not going to pay you what you want, but we're going to pay you something or whatever, and to say, all right, so we're going to do a deal, but there's a lot of negotiating. The leverage the Titans have is you're under contract next year on the fifth-year option, and they can franchise tag you, and then they can franchise tag you again. So you're stuck here for the next 3 years no matter what. And all of a sudden, don't you foresee that becoming a little bit of a problem when Simmons is already worried about how much money he's missing out on by making $2 million this year?
You're 100% right. And the thing about it is, Jared, is you don't want this to start to become a distraction. The situation with A.J. Brown, it started to become a distraction. I just think that, with Simmons, he's just trying to put a bug in their ear to say, listen, okay, I'm playing at the top level. I'm playing great. I'm the best in my position. I am the best defensive player, one of the best defensive players in the league. Let's figure this thing out, because, he's under contract for a couple of more years. But and I hate to say this, if I was him, I wouldn't play another game. That's just me. I'm just saying me, because, you get hurt, you have zero leverage. Now he has leverage to say, you know what, I want to get a big payday to set my family up for the rest of their life. So it's not just about him. It's more variables that are intertwined in this thing.
So if you were Jeffrey Simmons, you would come out on Wednesday before the Kansas City Chiefs Sunday Night Football game, and you would say, I am not playing this weekend because I want a contract and I'm not going to risk it.
The reason why I would say that, because it would get their attention. That's just my. It would definitely get their attention. Be like, okay, you know what? We got to go down to Kansas City, and we're going to have to play our best game to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And all of a sudden, you say Simmons doesn't show up. That gets their attention to say, you know what? We got to make sure we keep this guy in, because we can't win without him. And I know the fans are like, oh, that's selfish. He just wants money. Hold on. If he wasn't playing his game, if he wasn't playing up to his par, they would figure out a way to get him out of here and bring somebody better. So it's got to be feasible for both sides. But I just don't want the fans to start like, oh, he's being selfish. If he's making it about me. He's not a me guy. He's in a position to make sure that he's set for the rest of his life, and everybody wants to be in that position.
Seems pretty selfish to quit on the team in the middle of the season because you want a new contract.
Okay. Let me ask you this: What if Jeffrey Simmons wasn't good, starts declining a little bit, and they cut him.
No, I understand what you're saying, but this is a collectively bargained contract that the union that represents him agreed to, and he's on his rookie deal.
I know, but here's the deal. If he wasn't performing...
Like, those are the rules.
Okay, I know they're the rules, but if there's a rule...
what would be the problem with what A.J. Brown... All A.J. Brown did was chirp during the offseason.
Yeah, he chirped.
And you were like, got to get him out of here. But you're endorsing the idea of Jeffrey Simmons just saying, I'm not going to Kansas City this week.
Yeah, but see, A.J. Brown did it to where he was chirping like complaining. Jeffrey Simmons is saying, I want to get this done. There's a difference. A.J. Brown was complaining and, acting like he wasn't acting like a professional. I think that with Jeffrey Simmons said this, I just want to make sure that I get a contract that I get because I'm playing at a top level. And that's just all I'm saying. And I know it sounds selfish, but man, at the end of the day, if Jeffrey Simmons was not playing at the top level, they're going to find somebody else to bring him in or maybe cut him.
Man, that is a hot take from Chris Sanders.
Oh no.
Chris, what did you make of Chris Sanders is our guest? What did you make of Malik's performance on Sunday?
Hey, he didn't really do anything. He threw 10 passes. That's when you're going against the number one worst defense in the league. You don't need to put it in Malik's hands. You just hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. But the one thing that I'm just a little bit concerned is the two mistakes that he made when he threw the interception in the first quarter. Well, then also you had a wide open Chig and you can't hit him. Just imagine if he has to play this week and they play against the Kansas City Chiefs and he gets pressure and he throws an interception. It's not going to work. So he's got to figure out a way to just maybe read his keys and just relax and let your skill set help you get to where you need to get.
Chris, I watched the coach's tape on Malik. 12 dropbacks, 2 of which were sacks. 12 dropbacks. I counted 8 mistakes, 2 good decisions, and 2 that were non-applicable, including throwing the ball away with guys wide open, taking a sack when he pump fakes at a guy who's wide open. Chris, he was horrible on Sunday, in my opinion.
Yeah, but and I know everybody's gonna say, "Oh, he's a rookie," and I agree with you too.
But the Chiefs don't care if he has to go in the game on Sunday. The Chiefs don't care that he's a rookie.
I know, but he did. He just looked. When there's a quarterback, there's one thing that you want to feel. You want to feel comfortable. And I watched him when he took the snap and he was in the shotgun. He just looked uncomfortable from the start. And he just got to get a little bit of confidence. And I think the offensive coordinator, Todd Downing, just make sure he talks through details, pay attention to details, but also, say some words to me like, hey, dude, just let the game come to you. I know you made 8 mistakes out of 12, but let's correct these 8 mistakes and limit the mistakes and also go out there and try to make some plays, man.
Chris Sanders, our guest, your thoughts on the Kansas City game?
I think we're going to win. And the reason why I think we're going to win is because
you think that they're going to win all those games?
I don't know if they're going to win all these games, but I know they'll beat Kansas City because Kansas City, everybody looks at their record. They're 5-2, and, they're not the same Kansas City team. When you lose to Tyreek Hill, that's one of those bullets that you don't have in the gun. So when you don't have a guy like that can really, really, catch a pass, and every time he catches the pass and hold your breath, it just makes your team different. And then another thing, too, is, if you look at the Tennessee Titans, they're built on being physical. They're built on running through your lips. If you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they're more a finesse team and dink and dunk you and all this stuff. Because if you look at a couple of years ago when they played in the playoffs, when they played Mariota, when Mariota was a quarterback, they physically hit the Kansas City Chiefs in the mouth. This defense is a little better, and I think they're going to go down there and shock people in Arrowhead.
Chris Sanders, as always, presented by Parman Energy, now hiring field drivers, ParmanEnergy.com. Great stuff, Chris.
Appreciate you, my man. Thank you.
Yep, Chris Sanders joining us on the program. He thinks Simmons should not play Sunday.
But he still thinks the Titans are going to win.
615-737-1025. All right. The Tennessee Volunteers are the number 1 ranked team in the country. Guess what? I'm going to tell you the truth about yesterday's ranking. We'll get to that next. TriStar Moving, they're the presenting sponsor of this show. I love TriStar Moving. I don't know anybody who gets excited about moving because it's stressful, it takes a ton of time, and it's not fun. However, when I found my friends at TriStar Moving, they made my outlook on moving so much better because Well, they made it absolutely stress-free. TriStar Moving has an amazing sales staff to go along with a great management team, so you can be assured your movers are carefully picked, highly trained, and they've got new utility vans to help with pack jobs to separate your high-volume or fragile items from the bulk of your furniture to make sure that your move is as safe and smooth as possible. No one is doing this. TriStar Moving is raising the standard in the moving industry. Their owners, Garrett and Robert, true Nashvillians, local guys, and they love serving their Middle Tennessee community. So if you're moving, give TriStar a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website at nationalmoving.org/radio, where they'll give you 10% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, nationalmoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you for 10% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
You love the game.
The door's on the board. Strike three, sounds win.
We live the game.
Going up against that defense, he can make some plays and take that next step.
We got pass rushers.
Checkered flag in the air.
Awesome game 7.
What a stop made by Houston Sarah.
The game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Well, I'm a orthopedic surgeon, board certified.
Meet Dr. John Herzog, who's certainly done his share of knee and hip replacements. But these days, he's encouraging his patients to look at regenerative medicine options, now available at QC Kinetics.
I'm kind of the anti-surgeon right now, and a lot of my buddies, if they hear me talking, they're going to give me a call.
Dr. Herzog says advances in regenerative medicine can give your achy joints lasting relief, using highly concentrated healing agents from your own body to repair and restore damaged tissue.
We take the fluid out of you, we concentrate it, and put it in an area where they couldn't normally get to and facilitate healing.
Are you suffering from constant pain due to arthritis or injury? Maybe it's time to look at alternatives to drugs and surgery at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in these exciting treatments.
What could be more natural than using your own body to heal yourself?
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
Middle Tennessee football is back in action at home on Saturday, November 12th. The Blue Raiders will take on Charlotte in our 40th annual Salute to Veterans and Armed Forces football game. Kickoff is set for 2:30 p.m. inside Floyd Stadium. Come early and join in on the festivities honoring our veterans. To purchase tickets or for more information, visit goblueraiders.com/tickets. Middle Tennessee, we are Blue Knighted.
Hal Gill here for my friends at Dunkin'. Everyone celebrates the holidays in their own special way, but you go twice as hard as everyone else. So does Dunkin', which is why they've created 2 espresso-rich holiday signature lattes. The minty, cocoa-dusted peppermint mocha and creamy cinnamon sugary toasted white chocolate lattes are handcrafted with bold espresso and topped with whipped cream to help you do the most this year. So swing by the newly remodeled Dunkin' on Bradley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and grab one today on the double.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game 7.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury. He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the losses of Amanda J. Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. I woke up this morning. I thought we were going to talk about the Tennessee Volunteers being ranked number 1.
Which feels like a pretty big story,
It's
right?
a big story. Congratulations again to the University of Tennessee Volunteers. There you go. Then this Jeffrey Simmons story about him wanting a new contract comes out of nowhere. And so I'm like, do we start on the Vols? Do we start on Simmons? Like, what are we doing here? And I'm like, the Simmons story is really big because he wants a contract. And then we talk about how it's going to make everybody feel. And then Chris Sanders has that wild and crazy take that he had last segment where he said that he thinks he should sit out the Kansas City game. Wow. That was a take. So then I'm like, all right, to talk about the Vols now. And as we're getting ready to start the segment, Ian goes, we have breaking news. Jeffrey Simmons posted 1 minute ago to Twitter, quote, listen. Yeah, I can hear this in the Derek Mason voice. Listen. Listen, Jeffrey Simmons says, I love where I'm at. I love this organization, and most of all, my teammates. I am not worried about a contract. I am focused on winning. Next story, all caps. Please, with 2 exclamation points.
Okay, to be fair, Jeffrey Simmons, you made yourself the story.
You said it.
You were the one who was talking to reporters. Nobody just dug this out of nowhere.
Do you know what I interpret that tweet as?
What?
Ian, if you could, from training camp in July, Jeffrey Simmons, when asked about his contract then, had this insightful and really revealing discussion with me at training camp.
Jeff, how you feeling about your contract situation right
now? Not talking about contract. I'm in camp, worrying about football.
Would you like to see something done if?
I am not talking about contract. I'm focused on football. I'm in camp. I'm here. I'm trying to be the best I could be as a football player. Everything does take care of itself.
Okay, that's the tweet. That's what Simmons is tweeting.
I'm not talking about no contract.
I'm not here to talk about contract. You said it.
Yeah, like.
What do we make of it? You can't unring the bell. You said it. Jeffrey Simmons said it. Jeffrey Simmons, I was freaking shocked when I heard, that there was, when Porth told me that this Dan Pompei article in The Athletic was there, where Simmons was talking about thinking about holding out, comparing his salary to Aaron Donald's, talking about how there are guys that have just gotten a league that are making as much money as him, and I'm not saying those are selfish things, because I would think those things too if I was in his position. I would. But at the same time, there's a difference between, thinking it and saying it during the season.
And not even just saying it. Putting it on record.
Yeah.
In the middle of the season.
And, opening up the negotiations to what the Titans have said. Robinson was asked about the negotiations at training camp, and John Robinson was like, yeah, we evaluate it on a case-by-case basis. We try not to get involved here in trying to figure out what our contracts are. Good, hard, defendable team football, first football players in Titan way, whatever. And Jeffrey Simmons is like, yeah, they said to me, we want to pay you. We don't know when we'll be able to pay you. We don't know how much we'll be able to pay you. We probably won't be able to pay you as much as you're worth, and we don't know where we're going to get the money from. So we want to pay you, Jeff, but we can't. And it's like, wow. So he took the negotiation public and is now, after he took the negotiation public,
walking it back.
He is saying, I don't want to talk about this publicly. Do we give him the benefit of the doubt?
I don't know. And I do wonder, was that Athletic article, was that a little nudge to the Titans organization? And was that simply just a negotiating tactic? And his tweet is a message to the fans. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere, but still, knock, knock, Tennessee Titans, I would like a new contract.
I don't know.
I don't know what it is either. Because I find it very interesting that, per your sources, he was talking about this at the bye week, so 2 weeks ago. And now he's saying, whoa, this isn't a story. It's not like he said those things in June and it's coming out now. And he's like, whoa, I'm not talking about this in the middle of the season. This was only a couple of weeks ago.
I would have lost my marbles. Lost my marbles if I found out that these quotes were this week. That if on Monday or Tuesday of the week of the Kansas City Chiefs game, that Jeffrey Simmons is sitting there publicly talking about his contract. And so to find out that they were during the bye week, which is what I heard, that they were during the bye week, to hear that makes me feel better. I don't, again, when I talk about the benefit of the doubt, I don't think Jeffrey Simmons is a me first guy.
No.
And I understand the difference between having to look out for yourself and your family and your long-term.
Wanting a new contract,
Terrell Owens.
It doesn't make you a bad teammate. It doesn't make you a bad person. And it doesn't make you selfish. Everyone does that. Everyone would like more money, would like an extension at their job. But I think in Jeffrey Simmons' tweet, I love this place, I love this organization, I love my teammates, I'm focused on winning. I believe all of those things. But at the same time, then what's the message of the article?
I know. What did Simmons think was going to happen when he said those things?
I don't know.
And again,
get a new contract?
He said them.
Yeah.
It's not like, the media is just blowing this out of proportion. The media. Dude, you said it. It's not like this is a week where we're lacking for things to talk about. I mean, people today are like, are you going to annihilate the Predators for how they played last night? I'm like, guys, Tennessee is the number one team in the country. The Titans are playing on Sunday Night Football at 5-2 against the 5-2 Chiefs. The Predators are an unmitigated disaster. I got anything that I want to talk about, I can talk about today. Jeffrey Simmons said what he said, and that's why it's the number one story today. And now Jeffrey Simmons is like, this is not a story. And it's like, if you went to The Athletic and you tried to scare everybody that the Titans weren't going to be able to re-sign you, which they're doubly anxious about because of what happened to A.J. Brown, then you got a really funny way of telling us that you're not trying to make this a story, because if you didn't want this to be a story, you wouldn't have said anything. But I also don't see Jeffrey Simmons as the guy who's okay with this being a story during the week of the Chiefs game.
No.
I think there's a lot of guys like Chris Sanders defending him, and Derek texted me earlier and was like, that's not selfish and all this kind of stuff.
Him wanting a new contract is not selfish. No.
But again, there's a gray area here. That is, dude, the team is getting ready for the Chiefs game. Like, this is the biggest game of the season.
But also, he doesn't control when the article comes out.
So that's the second part. But at the same time, he said what he said.
Yeah.
And so this is just a gut feeling. And this is where I say, are we giving Simmons the benefit of the doubt? And I say that we are. Don't know if it's the right thing to do or not. Well, I am giving Simmons the benefit of the doubt. I do not think.
The benefit of the doubt of what?
I do not think that when Jeffrey Simmons said those things to The Athletic about wanting a new contract and comparing himself to Aaron Donald and thinking about holding out, and because, again, it wasn't that he was thinking about holding out. He was committed to holding out and then changed his mind, according to this article, and opening up and kind of revealing what the negotiations so far with the Titans have been like. I don't think that if the writer of the article, and I'm not blaming the writer of the article here by any stretch of the imagination, but if the writer of the article said, yeah, we're going to release this on the Wednesday of the Chiefs game, and it's going to become the number one story in the city because you're the best player on the team, not named Derrick Henry, and you guys are really 1A and 1B. And so we're going to release the story just right after A.J. Brown has 3 touchdowns and a half, and everybody in the city loses their minds. I mean, I got to feel like he would be like, don't do that. Like, I don't want to be a distraction. I don't want to hold the team back. Don't do that. And maybe I'm wrong. And maybe I'm not reading Jeffrey Simmons correctly. But the idea of Jeffrey Simmons sending out a tweet after saying things that, like, a lot of players don't say. You know, I go back to this. If any other star player in the league said this, it would be a big deal on any team. If Micah Parsons came out and said, I'm thinking about skipping training camp because the highest pass rusher in the league makes $40 million a year, and I think I'm that good, so I think I should get that kind of money. That's a major story.
Oh, yeah.
That's a major story.
I think this is a major story.
And so
Simmons other NFL markets see it that way.
But Simmons is trying to downplay it. You know, hey, next story, all caps, please, in the tweet. And it's like, dude, you're Jeffrey Simmons.
And you were the one who said it.
You said it.
You are the story. You made the story.
It's like when, and not only that, there's really no clarification of what he said in that tweet.
What do you mean?
There's no like, I want to be a Titan for life and I'm committed to it. I shouldn't have said those things. I'm sorry I said them.
Well, why would he say I want to be a Titan for life? Because if he doesn't get the contract he wants, then I'm sure he'll go wherever he will get the contract he wants. I think the clarification is, look, I like where I am. So fans understand that if you read that article and I'm not a Titan in the next 2, 3, or 4 years, understand that's not on me.
Trying to read this tweet and think about it at the same time. Listen, I love where I'm at. I love this organization and most of all my teammates. I am not worried about a contract. Except that you said you were worried about a contract. Phones, 615-737-1025. I was not prepared for us to get more Jeffrey Simmons news. We will react to this, 615-737-1025. Plus, what do we make of of what Simmons actually said? Is there a chance the Titans don't have the money to pay him? Is there a legitimate chance? We'll get into that. 615-737-1025. Speaking of the Vols, we do have Tennessee and Colorado basketball tickets to give away. And we're doing this thing where we give you clues throughout the show. And then in the 5 o'clock hour, I tell you when to call Ian with the answer to the clues. So we give you the clues now. And then you have to call Ian and you have to get both clues right that we give away at some point. We give those clues throughout the course of the season. And so my clue to start you off with this is the last team to be ranked number 1 in the college football playoff and in their first ranking and win the national championship that season is whom? The last team to be ranked number 1 in the first college football playoff poll and then win the national championship that season is whom? You have a guess?
Say that again.
The last team to be ranked number 1 in the college football playoff poll in the first ranking and win the national championship was whom?
The last one or the first one?
The last one.
Alabama?
Georgia.
Oh.
Georgia last year did it. And I believe there's one other team that's done it, but that's the first clue. That is the first clue is Georgia. So remember that. That's the first team you got to tell Ian about whenever we do this in the 5 o'clock hour. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 2:45.
Sanders for the touchdown, 48 yards.
Former NFL wide receiver Chris Sanders joins Stillman and Company to give his thoughts on all things Titans and NFL. Fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. Being arrested doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. Being served with custody paperwork doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. It may feel that way, but if you have Amanda J. Gentry representing you, you can feel confident that you're going to have the best quality representation in all of Middle Tennessee. Amanda J. Gentry goes wherever justice demands. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
This is a relationship, just like your relationship. Dating and getting married is awesome and fun, but having been married for 24 years, I can tell you it only gets better.
Meet Ward Herbert, manager at Genesis Diamonds, talking about the importance of having a long-term marriage with your spouse and your jeweler.
What's in the DNA here is relationship building. How can we be a part of your love story forever? It's your engagement ring, it's your wedding band, it's your anniversaries, it's gifts for your children, it's being a Genesis customer for life.
Genesis Diamonds, where it's never about making a sale, it's about making a hero.
The greatest joy I get is helping you find your perfect ring, helping you find your perfect diamond, and having you walk out with a huge smile on your face because you know she's going to love it and it's going to be something that you can be proud of forever.
And Ward knows a thing or two about relationships as a marriage counselor and an ordained minister. He can provide a little extra added value.
I did a wedding ceremony for one of our customers 2 months ago. He did not have a minister at the last minute, and I performed his wedding ceremony for him.
Genesis Diamonds, going above and beyond for every customer.
Now you may kiss the bride.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
When joint pains cause you to sit out on everyday activities, it's time to make an appointment with Dr. Matthew Beal at Houston Clinic Orthopedics. Dr. Beal can diagnose your problem and treat the joint pain for both surgical and non-surgical matters. Board certified and fellowship trained, Dr. Beal specializes in hip, knee, joint replacement, and adult joint reconstruction. Visit tn.houston.com to learn more about Dr. Beal and to book an appointment online. Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
Attention sportsmen, this November 8th, hunting is on the ballot. The Biden administration continues to close millions of acres of public land to hunting, and now D.C. liberals are banning common ammunition. Joe Biden and the enablers pulling his strings won't stop until you're only allowed to hunt in your backyard with a slingshot. On November 8th, it's critical for Tennessee sportsmen and women to go hunting with their votes and elect Andy Ogles to Congress. We need a congressman who will stand up to the liberal left and fight for the rights of Tennessee hunters and gun owners. Andy Ogles will be a champion for the rights of Tennessee sportsmen and women. Andy Ogles will protect hunting access, our Second Amendment rights, and our hunting heritage. Vote Andy Ogles for Congress, November 8th. Hunter Action Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. 4800 Westgate Pass Road, Tucson, Arizona, 85745.
Need assistance with door and window projects? The Home Depot can help. From inspiration and materials to ordering and installation, our free Millwork virtual apron service can get you moving and doing. Plus, we speak Spanish too. Our associates can help you tackle complex jobs without you leaving the job site, saving you time and money. Call us at 1-833-HD-APRON or visit homedepot.com/MVA. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Never miss a moment of the show.
What is this? Check it out.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Mike said that he expects Jeffrey to be out there tomorrow. Is there anything going on contract-wise with the?
No, I mean I talked to agents with a lot of our players. I've talked with his representation, and we've got an understanding of where we're at, and he's excited to be back and ready to rock and roll.
Where you are, anywhere close to a new deal, or are you proceeding under the current terms?
Yeah, we don't really talk about contracts, and I've said that before. I think that's a matter between the club and the agent and the player, and that's how we'll keep it here.
In general, John, would you consider redoing a deal with another year and then an option year after that left on it still?
Yeah, philosophy-wise, again, I don't want to dive too much into contracts and all that kind of stuff, but everything's a case-by-case basis. But I would say that again, we're not going to talk about where we're at from a contract standpoint.
That was John Robinson at training camp. They were not going to talk about it. Unfortunately, Jeffrey Simmons is going to talk about it. Jeffrey Simmons saying, and again, this was in The Athletic this morning, Dan Pompei.
Yeah, I think just Pompei.
Pompei.
Not like Ellen Pompeo.
Not Mike Pompeo.
Yeah, not Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, Dan Pompei. Simmons says, talking about the Titans and his future, quote, we want you to be here, but we don't know exactly when we'll be able to pay you. The Titans were like, we don't know if we're going to be able to offer you what you think you are worth. We want to pay you, but we don't know where it's going to come from. That's basically what it was, not an offer. Not as confident as John Robinson made it sound there in that cut. Then Jeffrey Simmons takes to Twitter because he said this blew up. And clearly, we spent an hour talking about it. At 3:02, Jeffrey Simmons decided to start tweeting about it. I don't think that it had anything to do with us, but maybe it did. Who knows? Jeffrey Simmons says, quote, listen, I love where I'm at. I love this organization and most of all my teammates. I'm not worried about a contract. Even though
he said he was worried about a contract.
He was worried about a contract. I am focused on winning. Next story. Please.
All caps.
All caps, 2 exclamation points. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. 615-737-1025. Brent is up next on Jeffrey Simmons. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Brent.
Hey, okay. I was saying I don't think they would took a high draft pick on Simmons without the possibility of having to sign him later. Also, like y'all said, the article was put out at a clickbait time to where two teams on a Sunday night are playing at a high level, so I kudos to that. Business move in that sense. I also think J-Rob has made this draft pick as a genius move where he's like, quote unquote, this is my move that I made. And because he has the Caleb Farley pick on his resume, a player who was injured, high talent. And it's looking like it's not going to pan out. But the Simmons is looking like it's going to be the exact opposite: injuries, high draft pick, and it's looking like to be one of the best picks in the last 4 years. I just think it's a non-issue. I don't think it's a story, but I think Simmons is going to stay here for a while.
So it's a story for 3 reasons. Thank you for your call, Brett. It's a story for 3 reasons. Number one, he said it.
Yeah.
Number two, it's not like the Titans didn't have a great player on their team that they said, oh, well, fine, we'll sign him. Don't worry, we'll sign him. Remember? Are you going to trade A.J.? I don't foresee it. The Titans have traded A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles for the 18th overall pick and the 103rd overall pick.
Yeah, life comes at you fast.
So it's not like, fans have any reason to trust the Titans. And then the third reason is because he is a top 15 player in the game. Part of the article was bitching about how it was his uncle talking about how, if he played on the Cowboys, everybody would be talking about Jeffrey Simmons. And I'm like, that's not really true because Micah Parsons is better than Jeffrey Simmons. But it is true
I
from the
understand
standpoint
the
that he would be
sentiment.
more of a household name if he didn't play on the Titans. But I do think most people know Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons is probably a top 15, top 20 player in the game. He's probably the fourth best defensive player in the league. And, he's a good player. You do not get rid of players like that. You do not get rid of foundational franchise players.
Well, they did.
You don't do it.
They did.
AJ wasn't that good. AJ is not as good as Jeffrey Simmons.
But a foundational franchise player?
AJ is not as good as Jeffrey Simmons. Like, if you were to go around the league and you were to say AJ or Jeffrey Simmons.
Oh, I'd take Jeffrey Simmons.
I think every team would take Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons is like Warren Sapp right now, the way he's playing. He's awesome. I also find it funny that, remember one time in the Jared versus Joe, when we were talking about Simmons, and Joe was like, use whatever metric you want to use, and I said sacks. And Joe was like, that one doesn't count. Sacks don't count. And now all of a sudden, Simmons showed up leaner to training camp and is now getting more sacks. Like now he's all over the place with sacks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's shocker. Those guys know where their bread's buttered. What do we have in the text line?
One texter texts in and says, it's sounding like the Titan way is becoming the cheap way, which is probably what Jeff is becoming aware of. Zing.
I mean, I do think that Jeff has the Titans by the freaking gonads on that one.
Obviously.
I mean, it's like there is no way. Like when they traded AJ, a lot of that cheap organization stuff started coming out. And I don't believe that because the Titans spent more money on players last year, I believe, than the Rams did. Like the Titans, were top 10 in the league in cash spent on players. And as we say, the salary cap is fake. The money is not. That is real money. Like it's not like, we converted that $9 million roster bonus to a signing bonus. You get it today. Like you get the $9 million today.
Yeah.
The money on the cap's fake, but I mean, the money, like the cash is real. And so the Titans have spent money. So I pushed back on that they're too cheap notion with AJ. You don't pay this guy, I can't defend you. If you can't pay Jeffrey Simmons, a generational defensive line talent, if you can't pay Jeffrey Simmons, whereas Kansas City is literally paying everybody except Tyreek Hill, and they were prepared to pay Tyreek Hill, and then Tyreek Hill wanted even more money after that. They were like, nah. But, think about this. Kansas City, who the Titans are about to play, they are paying top of the market money for their starting quarterback, top of the market money for their starting tight end, top of the market money for their defensive tackle, top of the market money for their pass rusher, top of the market money for a safety, top of the money market, I believe, are they paying Orlando Brown top of the market money at left tackle?
Pretty close, I think.
I think he's top of the market. I mean, the cap's not real. It's not real. The money is.
The money is real.
The money's real.
And maybe that's the conversation we should be having.
And if they're not going to pay Jeff the money?
If they're not going to pay Jeffrey Simmons the money, who are they going to pay?
Now, the Patriots, we talk about cheap. I asked one time about the Lawyer Malloy trade.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the whole Tom Jackson, they hate their coach. And,
yeah.
And how they cut Lawyer Malloy. And the team was, just dumbfounded. They asked Lawyer Malloy to take a pay cut. He said no, they cut him. They put Rodney Harrison in the spot. And they were like, what? How dare they? How? Whatever. And I asked one of my buddies who covers the Patriots, I was like, was that all just a power play? Like Bill was like, and it was about money. He goes, and with them, it's always about money.
Of course it's about money.
And so with the Titans, I'm not going to say the Titans are a cheap organization, but if you don't pay Jeffrey Simmons, I can't defend you. And I'll say this too. You're going to ask us for $1.2 billion in state taxes and you can't pay Jeffrey Simmons? I'm just saying.
That's not going to sit very well with the people who give their money to the Titans.
And, again, those quotes were taken during the bye week, the ones from Simmons. Do you think it's an accident that the bye week was the week where they announced the new stadium?
What does that have to do with Jeffrey Simmons?
Jeffrey Simmons is looking at it like you're going to somebody. I mean, I don't think Jeffrey Simmons is thinking this way.
No.
But somebody in his camp is probably like, hey, they're about to go ask their city and their state taxpayers for $1.2 billion.
But it's not like Jeffrey Simmons all of a sudden wants a new contract just because of the new stadium.
No, but this happens to be the one time that he decided he was going to talk about it. Because at training camp, he was like, I'm not going to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And today on Twitter, he's like, I'm not going to talk about it. So only that week, he decided to talk about it. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
I'm just saying. I mean, again, the quotes that he gave, the article, honestly don't sound like Jeffrey Simmons.
I'm not going to make that accusation.
I'm not saying that Simmons didn't say it. I'm saying it doesn't sound like Simmons, which makes me think that he was coached to say it.
Probably.
Okay.
Well, because from the second I opened up this article, I didn't think that this was a Jeffrey Simmons independently motivated move. This was a move. This article, in speaking with the media, was a move motivated by negotiations with the Titans, by so much else other than just, hey, let's talk to Jeffrey Simmons.
Okay, so then the decision of when to do it probably was also with somebody in Simmons' team.
But I don't think that has to do with the stadium.
Oh,
I think it has to do with the fact that it was a bye week.
Oh, I think it's all perfect. I think it's perfect. Because, again, they are asking the city for $1.2 billion. $1.2 billion for a new stadium. Not millions. Billions. And so they are asking for $1.2 billion, and Jeffrey Simmons is like, and they're over here telling me they don't know where they're going to get the money to pay me.
Yeah, that's a bad look.
You see what I'm saying?
That's a bad look.
615-737-1025. We're right back to your phones on this. Again, I think it's the story of the day. Jeffrey Simmons, 615-737-1025. He wants his contract, and then he says he doesn't want a new contract. And then he said earlier he wasn't talking about contract, and then he talked about contract.
And how he wants a new contract.
And we got an update on Tannehill. 615-737-1025. We'll get to that next too. Stillman and Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
312 Pizza Company is home to Southeastern Carolines with Caroline Fenton.
Welcome to Smashville, home of your Nashville Predators. Catch the Preds in action at Bridgestone Arena 8 times during the month of November. That's 8 chances to wear your gold, 8 chances to get loud, and 8 chances to invite your friends to experience Smashville. You won't want to miss a minute of the action. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets and get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. Let's go, Preds!
Hey, it's Eddie George. You know we all have crazy busy lives and don't take time to research car insurance, right? Well, you don't have to. Xander Insurance does all the work for you. Their system shops over 15 top companies to find you the best rates, and they keep shopping every year. Their clients have saved an average of $600. That's why I'm a client. Xander gives me more options. More options means more savings. Get free quotes at XanderInsurance.com or call 800-356-1780.
OrderGreen.com. You know them by now. They're my only choice for high-quality THC and CBD products, and they're delivered right to my doorstep. Hey, folks, Joe Rexrode here. Yes, you heard that right. OrderGreen.com will send cannabis products right to you with discreet same-day shipping. OrderGreen.com has been great for me. Just what I need during this busy time of year. Takes the edge off physically, mentally. Terrific products. And if you use promo code Joe20, you're going to get 20% off your first purchase at OrderGreen.com. Do you have a subscription to OrderGreen.com? It'd be a lot cooler if you did. You won't be able to tell if you're in Colorado or Tennessee. Trust me. That's OrderGreen.com.
Okay, can I have everybody's attention for just a second?
Morgan's media planning firm just landed a multi-million-dollar client.
Because we won the pitch.
She needs to staff up before trafficking hits a traffic jam.
So we're going to need research, planning, buying, obviously, and probably data analytics.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Sail with American Queen Voyages, where history comes alive and discovery runs deep. Enriching adventures await in North America's mighty rivers, Great Lakes, oceans, and expeditions to the wilds of Alaska. Visit American Queen Voyages at aqvoyages.com, cruising North America now. Call 844-744-0794 or contact your travel professional. American Queen Voyages. Discovery runs deep.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of Chase, Willie, and D. Mace, we'll continue to look ahead to Titans Chiefs, Vols in Georgia. We'll talk to Elliot Friedman, Sportsnet at 1 o'clock. Plus, don't forget, Silly Underdog Picks at noon. It all begins at 10 right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey Nashville, this is Penny Hardaway, University of Memphis coach. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Is there anything you've done so far on your own, or is it just today's going to be the first day?
As far as what?
Just working with the ankle.
I mean, rehabbing every day, doing everything I can, working through with our training staff here, all the modalities and treatments, and now working into exercises and just getting the thing as strong as possibly can.
There you go. That was Ryan Tannehill earlier today. The injury report is out. Ryan Tannehill, a limited participant at practice today. Jeffrey Simmons, the ankle, did not practice. We'll get to that in a second.
The ankle?
We'll get to that in a second with Simmons and his ankle.
Is it a contract ankle?
I mean, his ankle looked fine to me on Sunday. I mean, I watched Jeffrey Simmons single-handedly dominate the Houston Texans on Sunday. That ankle looked fine to me.
Either his ankle needs rest or he needs $30 million.
Or it's, I'm not practicing, I'm only playing. Because he didn't practice at all that week, and then he played. And then he played great. And then he didn't practice today. So, maybe it's a hold-in. Derrick Henry, foot, limited participant.
Oh, God.
Which foot?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
What's wrong with the foot?
I don't know.
Did they think they were going to put this on the injury report? People were going to see Derrick Henry foot and not freak out about it?
Oh, God. I didn't
Got
see
a lot
that.
of touches last week.
A foot?
Maybe a little sore, maybe.
A foot? Derrick Henry's injured with a foot? Oh, God. But maybe Phil Simms was right.
I go back to the fact that we just don't have a ton of information about exactly what happened to the foot. Was it a bone break that just he landed on it weird and it happens? Or was it a stress fracture that is a direct result of use? Because if it's the former, if it was just a bone break, then you recover from that and you're 100% you're fine.
Right, you fall down the steps, you break your leg.
But if it's a stress fracture, that makes me a little nervous.
We also don't know which foot's injured, if it's the foot from last year or if it's the other foot.
But I don't know which one would make me more or less concerned.
Or the back of the foot, or if it's the big toe or the little toe, or we don't know. But all I can go off of
Maybe he's just got a blister.
Say.
Maybe it's a blister.
Foot!
Yeah, I don't like that.
For Derrick Henry. That is concerning. To your phones. 615-737-1025. Devin is up next on Jeffrey Simmons. Thank you for calling. What you got, Devin?
Well, I was going to talk about Jeffrey Simmons, but the Derrick Henry foot thing's got me going now.
I feel you.
Oh, God. Well, I've been a Titans fan since I was about 10 years old, and I've seen McNair leave, Vanden Bosch, Curse, Haynesworth, all these guys leave. If they don't sign Jeffrey Simmons back, I don't know if I can be a Titans fan anymore, honestly.
Boy, I'll tell you. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons, thank you for your call, Devin. Jeffrey Simmons has hit a nerve, with the people that are like, oh, screw the Titans!
Well, it's already a pretty exposed nerve after the A.J. Brown trade.
Yeah, he really is lucky.
It's pent-up frustration that from the bad drafting and the trading of A.J. Brown and not doing anything at the trade deadline, whether that was right or wrong on the Titans' behalf, the fans are still frustrated with where this organization is going.
See, here's what's crazy, is that they didn't pay Jack Conklin. Jack Conklin went to Cleveland, was an all-pro right tackle. The Titans have whiffed at right tackle, and nobody talks about that. But AJ scores 3 touchdowns against the Eagles, and it's like a felony, which it should be, because I'm sitting there watching AJ play wide receiver, and I'm looking at this team, and I'm like, oh!
32nd ranked offense in the league.
And yet every response on the Simmons thing is, if they don't pay Simmons, F them.
Well, that's the last straw. And I do not blame the fans for feeling frustrated.
I don't either. What do we got the text line?
One texter texts in and says, if the Titans don't find a way to pay Jeffrey Simmons, then they might as well just start rebuilding. He's the only reason they have a solid run-stopping defense and is covering for their lack of linebacker play. They already gave up
lack of linebacker play.
I think the linebackers are pretty good.
What are they talking about?
Is that they already gave up on A.J. Brown because they didn't want to pay him, and now they're going to choke away potentially one of the best players in franchise history.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that he brought up the Haynesworth thing. Like, when you talk about all the Titan players that left, like Derek yesterday, I mean, Derek, and I love him with all my heart, but he was almost unhinged talking about the Titans and wide receivers yesterday, talking about how the Titans don't ever pay wide receivers. And it was a real, like, he and I might have come to blows if we had been on the air arguing, this idea about the Titans paying these wide receivers. Because, I mean, Derek got released, but Derek got released when everybody else got released. Like, Derek got released, Samari Rolle got released, Kevin Carter got released, Eddie George got released. Like, all of those guys were all pros, not just Derek. It wasn't like they didn't want to pay the wide receiver, and it was like, Derek, you're out. Everybody didn't get paid. Javon Kearse didn't get a second contract. He went to Philadelphia. Like, it was all of them. McNair a year later. It wasn't just him. But he's, like, convinced that the Titans as an organization are super anti-receiver. And that it was that way when he was there and got cut. And it's that way when they traded AJ. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. The owner of the team, when that happened to Derek, is dead. The general manager of the team is dead. The coach of the team is now in that bullcrap USFL and is the worst coach in that.
Hey, be nice about the USFL.
And do I have to be nice about Jeff Fisher?
No.
Okay. So it's like, none of those people are here today. The uniforms aren't even the same. The stadium is about to not be the same. Like, there's nothing similar between the two. This conspiracy that the Titans don't want to pay wide receivers, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Now, that being said, he brought up Haynesworth. Haynesworth is the one guy who I think over the years, the Titans, and AJ's getting there because they had leverage they could have used on AJ, and they really could have pushed it and wrote it out and everything else. Haynesworth is the one that they just completely screwed up. I don't understand. Albert Haynesworth was the best defensive lineman in the NFL. They franchise tagged him. And then as a condition for him to sign the franchise tag, they said I think it's something like if he was an all-pro or made the Pro Bowl, then they wouldn't be allowed to sign him the next year and he'd become a free agent. Who does that?
Yeah, that was a terrible decision to promise not to use the franchise tag back-to-back.
Who does that?
Yeah, why would you promise that?
And that's because you let Jeff Fisher run your organization. I mean, look, let me tell you something. Floyd was not one to be critical of things that happened to the Titans after he was a part of the Titans, but he was critical of that one because it was so stupid. So when I hear the texter or the caller talk about, Haynesworth, Van Bosch was old, had hamstring injuries. He went off to Detroit, fine. McNair was old, injuries. Team was rebuilding with Vince Young, fine. Eddie George wasn't running anymore, fine. Samari Rolle, Kevin Carter, Derek Mason, Javon Kearse, all in 1 year, fine. Like, it happens. This one was, the Haynesworth one was stupid. That one was stupid. The AJ one, but then like Derek talking about the Titans have never paid a receiver. I'm like, who do you want them to pay? You want to pay Kendall Wright?
AJ Brown.
You want, right, but other than that, other than AJ, and again, the why they didn't pay AJ is all well documented and argued back and forth and everything else. But you want to pay Justin Hunter? Kenny Britt? They didn't have any wide receivers to pay until AJ, and then they didn't pay AJ. What else we got?
One texter texts in and says, if the front office keeps letting difference makers like Brown and Simmons go, how long until Vrabel starts looking for another job?
So Vrabel can't look for another job because he's under contract. Mm-hmm. And the league has very strict rules about that, as we have seen with the Miami Dolphins. So Vrabel's under contract. He signed a contract extension. I mean, if a team were to want to hire Mike Vrabel, they'd have to give the Titans like 2 first-round picks. Now, the Titans probably wouldn't draft anybody worth a damn with those 2 first-round picks, but they would
probably have a worse coach.
I mean, the Titans would have to you'd have to pay the Titans 2 first-round picks for Mike Vrabel, and that might just be the starting price because Vrabel right now is probably a top 3 or 4 coach in the league. So I don't think Vrabel's looking to go. 615-737-1025. Plus, it does feel like a lot of these people are resigned to the fact that they're not going to re-sign Jeffrey Simmons. I feel like I hear a lot of they're not going to re-sign Simmons now. Screw this organization. If Simmons goes. Like, maybe.
I think it's a lot of pent-up anxiety and worry after the AJ trade.
And they have no credibility as far as, we promise we'll sign him. Because they did that with A.J. Brown.
Right.
Phones, 615-737-1025. Chris Sanders with the wildest Jeffrey Simmons take. 615-737-1025, Stillman and Company. Join Big Joe Dubin and Elijah Campbell for the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz. That's right. That comes up on Friday nights, the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz. People love that high school talk. They will preview the, presented by National Playmakers Academy from 6 to midnight. They'll preview the big games and then take you through the night of high school football around the Mid-State. It's the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz presented by National Playmakers Academy on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
2, 3, 4, look. High school football is here. Join Big Joe Dubin every Friday night at 6 for the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz, presented by National Playmakers Academy.
Just a small sample of these great coaches in our area.
We'll go around the Mid-State for scores and reports on all the big games.
If I'm a high school coach, I want the challenge.
The Game Blitz is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus looking at your forecast going forward. After a few isolated rain showers that started off our day, we'll work our way into an afternoon of partly cloudy skies. High temperatures today well above average. We'll end up in the low to middle 70s.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face truck today.
Now's the time to make a message known. All working-class Tennesseans vote no on Amendment 1 this voting season. Right to work does not belong in the state constitution. Hardworking families deserve to have their needs addressed in today's economy. Visit TennesseeWorkerAlliance.org. Paid for by the Nashville Building Trades.
Attention sportsmen. This November 8th, hunting is on the ballot. The Biden administration continues to close millions of acres of public land to hunting, and now D.C. liberals are banning common ammunition. Joe Biden and the enablers pulling his strings won't stop until you're only allowed to hunt in your backyard with a slingshot. On November 8th, it's critical for Tennessee sportsmen and women to go hunting with their votes and elect Andy Ogles to Congress. We need a congressman who will stand up to the liberal left and fight for the rights of Tennessee hunters and gun owners. Andy Ogles will be a champion for the rights of Tennessee sportsmen and women. Andy Ogles will protect hunting access, our Second Amendment rights, and our hunting heritage. Vote Andy Ogles for Congress, November 8th. Hunter Action Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. 4800 Westgate Pass Road, Tucson, Arizona, 85745.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Castrol Edge can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $38.99. Get everything you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Robbie Stanley.
It really doesn't matter until the pads come on and you have to hit each other, you have to block.
Joe Rexrode.
Reliable, go out and make some plays for you. Solid player.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
And I hate to say this, if I was him, I wouldn't play another game. That's just me. I'm just saying me because, you know, you get hurt, you have zero leverage. Now he has leverage to say, you know what, I want to get a big payday to set my family up for the rest of their life. So it's not just about him. It's more variables that are intertwined in this thing.
So if you were Jeffrey Simmons, you would come out on Wednesday before the Kansas City Chiefs Sunday Night Football game, and you would say, I am not playing this weekend because I want a contract and I'm not going to risk it.
You know, the reason why I would say that because it would it would get their attention. That's just my. It would definitely get their attention. Be like, okay, you know what? we got to go down to Kansas City, and we're going to have to play our best game to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And all of a sudden you say Simmons doesn't show up, that gets their attention to say, you know what, we got to make sure we keep this guy in because we can't win without him.
That is a hot take from Chris Sanders earlier today on the program. Let me just say this. So would Jeffrey Simmons at his locker when the media comes around today, just dropping his pants and showing his butt cheeks, that would get their attention too. You know what I mean? Like, I think he should sit out the Kansas City game to get their attention.
He's not going to do that.
The text line, all the people that are like, if we don't sign Big Jeff, screw this team, would be the exact opposite if Simmons was like, yeah, I'm not going to play on Sunday because I want a new contract.
They'd be like, screw you.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Chris. That's crazy.
Would Chris
Uncle
have
Chris.
done that when he was a player? Would he ever sit out a game? No way.
Never.
No.
Never, ever would he have actually done that. What do we have the text line?
One texter texts in and says, not signing Big Jeff gives us a reason to change the team name to Derek and the Misfits, and at this point, I expect a phone call to get a contract.
I expect a phone call to get a contract.
Like the Titans will call Jeffrey Simmons and say, whatever you want, I'm assuming.
Oh, no, the Titans aren't going to do that. The Titans aren't going to do that.
No, but I think the fans would feel much better about
this
it.
This is what John Robinson's going to have to learn how to do, though, and I'm not sure if he does this or not because I've never negotiated with John Robinson. Well, I've never negotiated with John Robinson. But I would say that Floyd told me that when he sat down with Eddie George's agent, and you got to remember that the first 4 years of Eddie's career, he was one of the best running backs in the league. He was a perennial Pro Bowler, 1,000-yard guy, leader of the team, best player on the team, all those things. And when they went into negotiation on an Eddie George contract, Floyd said, don't hurt me, because he had nothing to argue. Like, there was nothing in the negotiation to say that, hey, we don't think we need to pay Eddie this money because Eddie had done everything. Eddie had checked every box. Simmons is the same way. And I think when the Titans do this thing of, telling the player like Simmons put out in the Athletic piece about how we're not going to be able to pay you as much as you think you're worth, like, that's not setting up for an amicable negotiation. And maybe sometimes that is fine, but other times it clearly angers the player. It clearly affected A.J. Brown. It's clearly affecting Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, I think that there's just maybe a little bit better bedside manner that they can go with that could keep these things from clearly bothering the individual player. Now, look, negotiating is tough. Like, I don't like negotiating. So I understand how the players feel about it, and I have empathy to the Titans of not just saying to every player that knocks on the door and says, I think I deserve $30 million. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, that's what dumb franchises do.
Right.
That's what the Jags do.
But at the same time, like, clearly their negotiating tactics angered A.J. Brown. And if they go down the same road with Simmons, they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt because everybody thinks they lost on the A.J. negotiation. So that's how I view it. But the idea that, all of a sudden now the Titans are going to call Jeffrey Simmons and say, oh, Jeff, we saw your quotes in the Athletic. Please sign a contract here. You have not been paying attention to how John Robinson operates, ever. I mean, John Robinson cut DeMarco Murray. Just like, we're good. People forget John Robinson tried to trade Derrick Henry, reportedly, allegedly, according to Chris Mortensen at the 2018 trade deadline. So make of that what you will. What's next?
Joe from Maryland texts in and says, it's all about if Vrabel we trust, because J-Rob is turning out to be an idiot. He's had 2 good drafts, and that's it.
Yeah, but again, the Titans, as an organization, the Titans were one of the worst in football, year in and year out. Everything that we laugh about with the Jets or Washington, Cleveland, all those loser franchises, the Titans were. They didn't make the playoffs from 2008 to 2017. 9 years, they didn't make the playoffs. They didn't win a playoff game from 2003 until 2017. They were picking number 1, number 2, top 10. They sucked. And then John Robinson showed up, and they haven't had a losing season since then. 2 of those were without Vrabel. And I know everybody loves Vrabel, and I like Vrabel too, but if Vrabel doesn't have Derrick Henry, I'm not sure that Vrabel's done everything that Vrabel's doing. I think I'd cut John Robinson some slack here. And clearly, the negotiating stuff, that's negotiating. It's like a story that I really want to tell, but I definitely don't feel like I should tell it about negotiating. So I'll tell a lesser story that's not as juicy. So one time we were at the Combine, and it was me, Floyd, Chase might have been there with us, and Bill O'Brien walked by.
Mm-hmm.
And Floyd and Bill O'Brien were talking, and they were laughing, and I'm sitting there like listening to the conversation, whatever. And apparently what happened was one time, there's these conference rooms that are all next to each other, these meeting rooms in New England.
Right.
Think of it like a library study rooms. And so Brady and Bill O'Brien are in one conference room, one meeting room, going over whatever Brady and Bill O'Brien are going over. Floyd and an agent are in the other one, and they were screaming at each other so loudly that Bill O'Brien and Brady were looking at each other like, yo, should we go in there? Should we check on these guys? They were yelling and screaming.
Sounds a little testy in there.
So when the player comes out and is like, the team said this, or, oh, how dare the Titans not pay Big Jeff? How dare they? It's a negotiation. But I also can't give the Titans too much the benefit of the doubt because I felt that way with AJ the whole time, and then they screwed that up. So, but I wouldn't just say oh, John Robinson's a moron because of these Jeffrey Simmons comments, because again,
I don't think it's just because of the Jeffrey Simmons comments.
No, it's the
whole
Caleb
story.
Farley draft pick. It's the right tackle situation.
It's AJ Brown.
It's all those things wrapped into one. It is all of those things. I mean, I said when they drafted Farley, I'm like, this is like your cryptocurrency guys. And your cryptocurrency guys, they freaking believe in that stuff. I don't think they still do, but they did then. And it was like, yo, Jared Coin is going to be worth $10 trillion in 5 years. And it's like, what's it do? Nothing.
Well, it can make you rich if you cashed out at the right time.
So what? I don't. What is
It's
Jared
fake.
Coin? What is it? I don't understand what it. What?
It's fake.
But you don't understand the regulators, the society. That's what it was like with Caleb Farley. When it was like, when's the last time you played football? 2 years ago. And what surgery did he just have? Oh, it was a major back surgery, but it was a corrective one, so this will be good. And he didn't play football last year. No. And he didn't run the combine. No. And he didn't have a pro day. No. And this guy's supposed to be a foundational corner. Trust us. Oh, we trusted. And now the Bills do. And so people are upset about it. So you add that in there with the crap right tackle picks, with the A.J. Brown, and people are frustrated. And I understand. I get it. Now it's like he doesn't get any credit for Danico Autry, signing him away from the Colts, which was a great signing.
Great signing.
But everybody harps in on the bad. 615-737-1025. Tennessee, ranked number 1 in the country. Coming up next, I got a theory about this. And I don't want people to be upset. I don't want them to be upset. I really don't. So we'll just get to this next. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to thegamenashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
When it comes to procuring my adult beverages for the big games, I saddle up and head to Red Spirits and Wine. Red's titanic selection of beer, wine, distilled spirits, and cigars is second to none. And Red's Crackerjack crew always delivers a winning combination of service and value. There's no two ways about it. Red is top of the range. Open 7 days a week at Highway 70 South in Bellevue. And check us out at redspirits.com.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Start week 9 off right with a no-sweat same-game parlay from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or if you already have an account. You'll get free bets back if your Thursday night same-game parlay does not hit. Same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a higher payout. The Texans, we all saw them last week. A.J. Brown over. Jalen Hurts over. I mean, come on now. Pretty obvious with this one. Build your own or choose from one of the popular SGPs pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. However you want to play, you can bet the NFL on Thursday night with a no-sweat same-game parlay. Just sign up with the promo code JGM and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the National Football League. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. 3+ legs, minimum $1 bet required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max free bet $5. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Harman Energy is now hiring drivers for their Nashville team. Harman Energy is Tennessee's petroleum solution for major industry. Right now, they're offering competitive compensation. Fuel tank wagon drivers start at $26 an hour. Fuel transport drivers, $29 an hour. Plus, there's a $4,000 sign-on bonus for CDL drivers. Top quality benefits and a great place to work, Harman Energy employees provide totally outrageous customer service. Come be an employee owner with the Harman team. Apply now at harmanenergy.com.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball. We got pass rushes.
Awesome game.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Is Tennessee 2 or 1? Who's 2? Ohio State is number 2. And that leaves the Big Orange of Tennessee for the first time in now this 9th year of the college football playoff that Tennessee has been ranked number 1. Previously, they hadn't even been ranked in the top 15, hadn't been ranked at all in the previous 5 iterations of the college football playoff ranking. So it's Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson are the 4 teams ranked at the top.
There you go. Number 1, the Tennessee Volunteers. Congratulations to Tennessee.
GBO.
They're ranked number 1. So yesterday, I told you they were going to be ranked number 1. Now, the Ohio State number 2 thing, I mean, I don't know what they were thinking. But I'm sitting there looking at these rankings, and I've been over it because I feel like the way I felt about it and the way Tennessee fans felt about Tennessee being ranked number 1, 2 totally different things yesterday.
Well, because you're not a Tennessee fan.
Well, when Tennessee was ranked number 1, I thought, good for them, right? Like, I was like, okay, they're number 1. They deserve to be number 1. Now, we'll see what goes down on Saturday. We'll see. And the team that has been ranked number 1 by my counts in the first poll of the College Football Playoff Committee has only won the championship twice, and I believe it's the last 2 years. Alabama in 2020, Georgia last year.
And both of those teams were running the table all season long, and it wasn't even close.
But even 2019 LSU, that was unbelievable, they were technically second.
No,
Ohio
they were
State.
behind Ohio State, and then that next weekend, LSU beat Alabama, and then they were 1, I believe, in every ranking after that.
So, Tennessee fans, you shouldn't have been surprised. Again, the Georgia thing at 2, like, that's ridiculous. Or
At
3. That's ridiculous.
To me, that is just a middle finger to CBS.
But then all of a sudden I got on social media.
Oh, boy.
And it was literally like tears flowing from grown men that were like, the Vols are number one. For all the years in which we have bled Tennessee Orange and all the years that we've watched our Vols through thick and thin, through brick by brick, and Jeremy Pruitt not knowing how to put a mask over his face, for all them years that Philip Fulmer went down there with Peyton Manning to the swamp, for all them years since T. Martin in 1998, for that 2001 team with Kelly Washington and Dante Stallworth and John Henderson and Albert Hainsworth, for Jamal Lewis and all them boys that we had for all them years that we didn't win, and for Josh Dobbs and the Hail Mary at Georgia to only lose to South Carolina, to everything that we've been through from Shiano Saturday to now. God bless the Vols. God bless this coach. God bless our team. It's great to be a Tennessee Volunteer.
Wow.
That's what it felt like social media was like yesterday.
Are they not allowed to be excited?
I mean, they should be happy about it now.
Jared.
But they should know that on Saturday, we're going to see.
This team has been so down bad, and this fan base has been so starved.
Ian, give her the music.
For just the teeniest, tiniest, ittiest, bittiest little bit of success for my entire lifetime, pretty much. And now they're number one. They have every right to be excited. Every single right, because they've been so far from it. It's not like they've been top 25 every year and they're finally up to the top. They have been so bad for so long, and now they're number one, and they may not be number one at the end of it. They may not go to the college football playoff final, but they might. But they're at least getting recognition for being a really good team, and they should be excited about that. Does it matter? Nope, not at all. It doesn't matter a single bit, but they have every right to be excited about it. And God bless the Tennessee Volunteers.
Is that what you posted to Facebook last night?
No.
And I'm so proud of the Vols for being number one. And I'm so proud. I mean, Robbie Stanley.
What is your problem with people being excited about their team being good?
Robbie Stanley had a post. And, I mean, it might as well have had like an orange heart on it on Instagram.
I think it did have an orange heart on it.
Where they, it's like seeing the flag, at the end of a battle, that American flag raise up, and you see those soldiers just salute to it. Like, to see Tennessee number one on the college football playoff, it's like these fans. It was a tear coming down the cheek. Was the emoji that Robbie posted with the top 4 rankings, to which I replied, Bobo. But good. It's great for Tennessee. This has been a great season.
Oh, save it.
This has been a great season so far. This is an incredibly enjoyable
But Tennessee
team to
fans
watch.
aren't able to be excited about it.
No, they should be.
They're not allowed to be excited about it.
They should be excited about it. They should be excited about Saturday.
But they're not allowed to post on social media about it?
Saturday's game is the game of the season.
Oh, yeah.
And not just for Tennessee, and not just for the SEC.
This is the game of the college football season.
It is the game of the year. Now, Michigan and Ohio State will probably get higher ratings, but still, who cares? This is the game of the season. But, let's let Tennessee win it before we start crying over them being in the rank. Let's let them win the SEC.
You do not get to tell people what they should be excited about.
No, I'm talking about before the, Facebook posts of what all we've been through. Maybe
they have been through a lot.
Right, but usually people don't have the Facebook posts and the tears of joy of what they've been through in the middle of the season. I'm not sitting here, looking at the Titans season and thinking to myself, Ian, please give me the music. And thinking to myself, oh man, what a year it has been for the Titans. They lose in a heartbreaking fashion to the Bengals in the playoffs when they throw those 3 interceptions. And then they trade A.J. Brown, and they get nothing in return for him right now. And Tannehill sticks his foot in his mouth in his press conference with the Malik Willis comments. And then they get out there to practice, and now Jeffrey Simmons is unhappy with his contract. And they started 0-2 to start the year, and they got embarrassed on Monday Night Football, and their kicker stinks, and everybody counted them out. And here they are. 5 wins in a row, the number 2 seed right now in the AFC. Yes! 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 Nobody's doing that.
Well, no, because nobody has any reason to be excited over that.
You're telling me Titans fans shouldn't be excited about where their team is right now?
All the things that you're saying about, getting beaten by the Bengals and trading A.J. Brown. Why would anybody cry about that in an excited way?
No, but why would anybody cry about having to go through the Butch Jones era? It's to think about how far
because it's
we've come.
looking back and how miserable Tennessee fans were
and we were miserable as
long.
Titan fans when Ryan Tannehill threw 3 interceptions against the Bengals.
And that was what, a year ago?
Yes.
This has been 20 years.
This is my point. It would be premature to get emotional about the Titan season right now. It would be premature.
Because the Titans aren't having the season that the Tennessee Volunteers are having.
So the Titans are number 2. Tennessee's number 1.
The Titans are number 2 in the AFC with 2 losses. Tennessee is undefeated, and they already won their Super Bowl against Alabama.
No.
And they are relevant for the first time in a very long time.
Their Super Bowl is the college championship. That is their unless they're a lesser program.
At the time, that was their Super Bowl.
See, I disagree. When you were at LSU and LSU won the national championship, it was great to beat Alabama, but that team had goals. And if you're a real program, those wins along the way matter. Just like Tennessee beating Florida in 1998, just like going down to the Swamp in 2001, that mattered. That was a huge win. But it was a win that was a step along the way that had to happen. That's how I looked at Alabama. Once the Alabama game was over, it wasn't like tears about Alabama. It was like, wow, Tennessee is now in position to do something really special. And that's how I feel right now. But again, that book is still being written. And the tears should come if Tennessee, really gets there, really.
Well, are there a limited number of tears that you are allowed to shed about being happy about your team?
Yes.
No, there's not.
Unless I'm allowed to sit there and cry right now about the Titans. Give me the music again.
You can cry if you want.
Ian, please give me the music.
You can cry if you want.
After everything the Titans have been through, from the AFC Championship game at Kansas City, and then the 2020 season where they didn't wear their masks inside the facility and everybody got COVID, to the Titans blowing it against the Ravens that year in the playoffs with that horrible defense, to Arthur Smith taking a job and us being stuck with that bum Todd Downing as offensive coordinator, to the 3 interceptions against the Bengals and the 91 players used, and Derrick Henry's broken foot that might be hurt again on the injury report, to the A.J. Brown trade and the shellacking at the hands of the Bills, and Brett Kern's dad going on Niagara local radio to complain about Kern. Just to be here today. Tighten up, everybody.
That's the most ridiculous comparison, and you know it.
I'm telling you.
You know it's a ridiculous comparison.
Because the first ranking of the College Football Playoff Committee doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't matter.
So it doesn't mean anything, but it doesn't matter that it doesn't mean anything.
Because Tennessee fans are allowed to be excited about it. It doesn't matter.
Then I should be allowed to be excited about anything I want to be excited about.
You are. You are more than welcome to be excited about whatever you want to be excited about.
Louisville football, we had to deal with Bobby Petrino 2.0. Ian, please give me the music. Please give it to me again.
Jeez Louise.
Louisville football. We had Charlie Strong, and he went to Texas, and we brought back that a-hole Bobby Petrino, and we just ruined our reputation. And then we got caught with the hookers in the dorm of the basketball facility. And then we offered $100,000 to a player, and Rick Pitino got fired. And then we went out and hired this football coach, and he might not be very good. And we hired a basketball coach who was not any good. And we just lost an exhibition basketball game to Lenore Rhine, whoever the hell that is, a Division II school. And our team in football's terrible. But we beat Pittsburgh. And then we forced 6 turnovers in a quarter on Saturday against Wake Forest. And we went from down 14-13 to up 41-13. And we beat number 10 Wake Forest. And I'm just so happy for the Louisville Cardinals and what all we've been through with that Bobby Petrino.
You're more than welcome to be drawn to tears because of that.
Clearly.
You are more than welcome.
Again, the college football playoff first ranking, it's great. But let's hold in the crying until it's time to cry.
No, I'm not going to tell any fan that has been miserable for the last 20 years of their life that they can't be excited that Tennessee football, for the first time in 25 years, is ranked number 1. I'm not going to tell someone, hey, hold off being excited. Now, if they get beat this weekend, then yeah, that's going to suck. And if they win this weekend, then you are going to look like a fool for telling people that they aren't allowed to be excited.
Why would I look like a fool?
Because you're telling people to not be excited.
I'm telling them
to taper expectations.
I'm not. I'm telling them to wait until the better things happen.
There's not a limited amount of excitement that you're allowed to have as a football fan.
The excitement should be about the game this Saturday. And
the
position that Tennessee's in.
It is. You can be excited about two different things.
The tears should not be the tears of accomplishment and joy. It is the college football playoff poll. This would be like North Carolina basketball celebrating an ACC regular season division basketball championship. It's like, whoa.
But this is not North Carolina basketball. North Carolina basketball is a very storied history of going to championships and winning championships, and Tennessee doesn't.
So you're telling me that Tennessee football is like a lesser program?
Tennessee is a program that has not won anything in the last 20 years. That's what I'm saying.
And so we should celebrate what happened yesterday, which was not winning anything.
Which was being on the path to being one of the best teams in the country. You are such a fun sucker. You are
615.
A vacuum of fun sucking.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. You know what? At halftime of the Titans game, if they're winning, I am going to cry a victory for the Titans. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to weigh in on that. Plus,
they have.
Have they?
They have.
Plus, the one thing about the rankings last night that I thought was a total, they didn't mean to screw Tennessee, but it's gonna screw Tennessee. It's not going to screw Tennessee, but it could screw Tennessee. I'll explain what that is coming up next. 615-737-1025. Really looking forward to what the text line has to say. Boy, I bet they are mad.
They're mad at you.
Is there anyone who's not mad?
One person says, I can't wait until Josh Heupel leaves Tennessee and goes to the NFL, then I can see the real big orange tears roll.
615-737-1025. Play Silly Underdog Picks today. Pick 3 football underdog teams you think will win for this week for a chance to win great prizes. Play now at theGameNashville.com or the 1025 The Game app. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket and Superbook Sports. Voted the #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
185! Every team needs a quarterback. 185! Good! That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
How that team is built, I think there's a lot to like about it.
Every Tuesday at noon, Tim with Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Presented by Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue and BetUS.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey football fans, Patrick Mahomes here, and I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
In a world where human interaction seems to be reduced to chats and clicks and emails, where transactions are measured only by speed, where corporate policies overrule common sense, sometimes you just want to go old school. Welcome to Genesis Diamonds, a refreshing experience where personal relationships and authentic interaction are the norm, not the exception. At Genesis, you're here celebrating something awesome in your life, and we want to know all about it. We want to hear your story, listen to your requests, and be a meaningful part of whatever occasion this is. A proposal, an anniversary, a birthday, graduation, push gift, sweet 16. If it's important to you, it's important to us. So we don't care how long it takes. We're not paid on commission, and we're not beholden to some corporate rule book. We just want to help you get what you want to make it into a special memory. So take a break from modern shopping and go old school with us at Genesis. Let's start a real relationship that you can count on for life. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now?
Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. This is great. You can keep your low mortgage rate and still get cash out. That's right. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will come your way, and it only costs you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off whatever bills you have, credit cards, consolidate other debt, or start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need the appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, it's Big Joe on the go. Look, I get it. Nobody likes being in a car accident, but when that happens, make it easy on yourself and call Apple Collision Centers so you don't have to stress. They're locally owned with 3 convenient locations in O'Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Apple Collision Centers managers combined for 60-plus years experience, and they only recommend original equipment parts on your vehicle. So, if you're in need of a repair today or down the road, just head over to Apple Collision Centers. Stan and his team will take great care of you. Online, applecollisioncenters.com.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching a game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
At number 3. Georgia denied a 1 versus 2 matchup in terms of now Georgia. Georgia kind of messed around with Kent State,
Missouri.
They got pushed to the end by Missouri, surprisingly, and maybe that's the reason they're paying for it. They do have the big win over Oregon on the resume.
Yeah, the win over Oregon, the win over Florida. 2 times this season, we've seen Georgia have to get up for a game. It's time to go prove something, and they've done that very well. The ones in between, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, national champs from last season, I can see them sleepwalking through those games. Those don't bother me as much.
Happiest guy in the world right now is Kirby Smart. They don't respect us, and here come the Big Orange.
I got to tell you, when I saw 3 for Georgia, I was mad. I was like, screw you, committee, for raining on our parade of 1 versus 2 this weekend. You know, the showdown, the game of the season. And then I thought, oh, my God, Georgia. They're going to sit in there. All they're going to talk about from
Number
now
3
until Saturday is we're the defending national champions.
We haven't lost a game.
I haven't lost a game. You know, and smoked Oregon. We're better than we were last year. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they'll say.
The offense is better.
We're better than we were last year, and we're 3rd. We'll show them. We'll show them on Saturday. We'll show them on. Not that they needed any extra motivation, I would assume, for Saturday. But it's like,
this adds fuel to the fire.
We'll show them.
You know that Kirby Smart is going to be putting that up everywhere.
Oh, yeah. And College Game Day's there. And you know the College Game Day will make a big deal about that. And I saw that, and I'm like, why you got to do that to Tennessee? Like, why you got to do that to the committee? You know Josh Heupel wanted to be number 2.
Or even 3.
He wanted Georgia to be number 1, and he wanted to be number 2. Because then he could tell his guys, you know, hey, you know, they're still ahead of us. They're still the top dog. They're still the champion. They're still. And, I mean, look, not that Tennessee needs any extra motivation for this either.
No.
But, you know, again, just a little, you know, that a little uncomfortable is not good.
A little, you know, heat on your seat.
For Georgia. And it's so unnecessary because Georgia's not worse than Ohio State. Georgia is better than Ohio State. And I don't care what the Sagarin rankings say. I don't care. I've watched them both play. Georgia's better. Georgia should be 2. Okay, what's the text line say? Apparently they're mad at me.
Yeah, they're
Phone
mad
lines
at you.
are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What do we have?
One texter texts in and says, I'm taking it all in and I'm smiling proudly for my Vols while preparing myself for this next game. Side note, you deserve an Oscar.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, again, all I'm saying is that while it's great that Tennessee is ranked number 1 in the country, it is. It's great for Tennessee fans. It is like, what a time to be excited. I'm not saying don't be excited. What I am saying is don't act like Tennessee's accomplished anything because they haven't.
I don't think they're acting like Tennessee has accomplished anything, but they're allowed to be excited.
I didn't say they weren't allowed to be excited. In fact, I just said they are. Be excited. This is, it's a
You're
very...
telling people, wipe your tears and don't be happy because you haven't done anything yet. I think that if you asked 99% of Vol fans, they would say, you know what, if we lose every single game, yeah, it would suck, but we can at least enjoy being relevant for part of the season.
Wait a minute. Say that again?
If you ask Vol fans, would you be okay with losing every other game of the rest of the season? If you did.
For this season?
Yes. I think they would say, yeah, it would suck, and it would be the worst thing ever, but at least we got to be relevant for a few weeks. I'm serious. That's how starved Tennessee fans are for a glimpse of hope or success, is that they got to be number one, even if it is for a week. Maybe it's for a full month. I don't know.
This reminds me of that conversation we had with Mike Tannenbaum after the Titans got knocked out of the playoffs, and we were bitching about Tannehill. And Mike Tannenbaum, who had Tannehill as his quarterback in Miami, was like, hey, you guys were the number one seed. And it was like, so what, Mike? Who cares? I'm like sitting here, and it's like, you're telling me that Tennessee fans are like, you know what? I know we lost to Vandy at the end of this season. It was supposed to be our dream season. But we were number one at one point. That was nice.
Yes, they would.
That's such loser talk. That is such the almost
winning. Well, what has Tennessee been doing the past 20 years? Losing.
I mean, hey, knock yourself out on it. If it's, if we want to get some T-shirts made up that said number one in the original college football playoff ranking, I can get that for them. I think Mississippi State did the same thing in 2014 when they were number one in the original poll. Now, they didn't even make it to the playoff. They ended up in the Orange Bowl and got embarrassed by Georgia Tech. But, I mean, I do think we're number one because they didn't win anything else that year. They didn't win the West. They didn't go to the playoff. They didn't win their bowl game. They didn't win anything. But people still talk about that Mississippi State team because it's like, hey, number one at one point in the year.
Yeah.
I just thought that Tennessee and Mississippi State treated themselves differently. I guess I'm wrong. Wes is up next here on Stillman and Company. Thank you for calling. What you got for me, Wes?
Hey, guys. Yeah, well, as a Vols fan, and it's been
Wes,
a long time,
I don't think I've heard
since
from you in
Jeremy
a long
Pruitt.
time, but it is good to hear from you.
Yeah, but Caroline, you're absolutely wrong. We lived through this. Now, we may not have, granted, been this high 8-0 number one, but in 2016, Butch Jones had this thing rolling. We had the
that is so different. That Butch Jones 2016 team is nothing like this team.
I'll let you talk. Let me tell you something. First of all, this is not a team that's going to lose every other game after this season. I can tell you, as a lifelong Vols fan whose dad came down from New York City to start teaching there at the university in the 1950s. I mean, I grew up bleeding orange. Nobody would be happy. I mean, look, I think most of us are reasonable. There's probably a good chance we could slip up and lose to Georgia. I think that's one of the things that makes being ranked number one as opposed to somewhere else in the top 4, 3 or 4. I think there still might be an outside chance with us not having to go and possibly beat Bama twice, beat LSU twice, that we could maybe sneak back in. So I think if it's a close game, we lose to Georgia, Tennessee fans will be fine. But if you think that they're going to lose to South Carolina, Missouri, or Vanderbilt, and really this is the first Monday that I've been able to really say that. After I guess it's just battered ball syndrome. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop every Saturday until we put on that beat down to Kentucky, and now I'm like, okay, we can breathe. This is really not fool's gold like we've been teased with before in the past. I think Heupel's got it going, and I actually don't think this is like as some compare to flash in the pan, comparing it to Ed Ogeron in 2019 and Gene Chizik at Auburn, and even Gus Malzahn's little run at Auburn. I think this is more sustainable. But I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you, Wes. I mean, I don't know if it is or if it isn't, but I get really angry whenever I hear people compare this Tennessee team to LSU. The 2019, I mean, that 2019 LSU team was going to win every game 100-0. I mean, not one game they played was like at all competitive.
And they beat 7 top 10 teams that year.
Mean,
that team was.
They beat Oklahoma something like 55-0 in the Peach Bowl. I mean, that team was unbelievable. Jim is up next here on the program. Thank you for calling. What you got, Jim?
Hey, Jared, I got a couple questions for you. Are we 8-0?
We 8-0. The Tennessee Volunteers are 8-0, correct?
Is Tennessee 8-0? Yeah. So that's something that Tennessee fans haven't seen since 1998. Did we beat Alabama this year? That's a yes. That hasn't happened for 15 tries. So what you need to realize is there are some things that we have accomplished this year. Yeah, the ultimate goal is to win the national title, but you got to remember we weren't even ranked at the beginning of the season.
Jim, that's fine, and I will start a T-shirt company. And we will put out number one in the college football playoff poll T-shirts, and you can buy them $24.95 with shipping and handling. And we'll send you some T-shirts, and you can sit there and put them on Facebook and be really happy about it, or we can start talking about the Georgia game. I would say talk about the Georgia game. And notice I didn't say anything about you guys smoking cigars after the Alabama game. That's a rivalry win. You won the game. You should celebrate it. I didn't get mad at them for storming the field. I didn't get mad at them for throwing the goalpost in the river, though I thought that was pretty funny. In all seriousness, yes, that was a great moment. But then the moment's over, and it's time to move on. And right now, it's time to focus on the Georgia game and the season and know that nothing's been accomplished. And the coach said the same thing.
Nothing has been accomplished.
The coach said the same thing yesterday.
Of course the coach said that.
That's because he's right. Jim, go ahead.
I disagree with you about nothing being accomplished. I think if you ask most Tennessee fans, they're thrilled with where we are. And that's why they're excited, is that for once, we have not tripped over ourselves like we've done forever. For the last 20 years, we've been waiting for the other shoe to fall. Now, maybe it'll fall against Georgia. I don't know. But the fact that we're here and playing Georgia, I feel like we're with house money, especially being ranked number one, because if we lose to the number three
I don't think that.
road,
Jim, I don't think that. I've experienced this, and I appreciate your call. I've experienced this. So, I mean, I remember the Lamar Jackson year that he won the Heisman. We were in the top 4 of the playoff, went to Clemson. It was that, it was like the Georgia game. It was the game of the week. Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, the top 4 teams, the winners probably going to the playoff, the losers not. We lost, ended up losing to Kentucky on a Lamar Jackson fumble at the end of the season, didn't make a New Year's Six bowl, and that is still a painful season for me to think about. Even though everything that Tennessee did, we did. We smoked Florida State, who was a top 5 team, who was like, Alabama and Clemson or Clemson and Florida State at the time were like Alabama and Georgia in college football. And that Clemson game was right down to the wire. And we had the Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback. And so to act like no matter what happens now, it's all house money. I mean, I've been through that. We do not celebrate our Buffalo Wild Wings team. Like we don't Buffalo Wild Wings bowl team. We just don't. We fell apart. So the act of it's house money now. No. 615-737-1025. Jason Fitz will join us next. His feeling on Tennessee, Georgia. He was not nervous at all about Tennessee's chances against Alabama. Does he feel the same way against Georgia? Hey, Edley's Barbecue. If you are tailgating for the game or if you are having people over to the home for the party, you got to let Edley's Barbecue take care of it. Hand off the tailgate prep to Edley's. Get your smoked wings in easy 25 and 50 count platters. Easily take smoked pulled pork, brisket, turkey, and scratch-made sides family style. Edley's is perfect for game day at home or if you're going to the stadium. Call your neighborhood Edley's or order online at edleysbbq.com. Edley's Barbecue voted Nashville's best barbecue 4 years in a row. That's Edley's Barbecue, a winning pick. edleysbbq.com.
Want a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game?
Yes!
Tune in to Robbie and Rex Road every weekday Preds game day at 8:45 for Preds Pick to Click. Guess a goal scorer and win.
I'll take Roman Yossi.
Matt Duchene. Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Preds Pick to Click.
We are 102.5 and 106.3. The Game.
As a roofer, I don't have time to fail. Homeowners rely on me, so I rely on Beacon. Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need when I need it. Every branch working together. And with the new Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the latest power tool in roofing. Searching, ordering, tracking. Plus the brands I depend on, like GAF, right at my fingertips. Go to BECN.com to get started building with Beacon. Beacon, always building.
The final matchup of the Tennessee basketball team's 3-game series with Colorado is coming to Nashville. Don't miss the Tennessee Volunteers versus the Colorado Buffaloes at Bridgestone Arena Sunday, November 13th. Be there to witness your Volunteers in action as they look to run their all-time record against Colorado to 5-0. Sunday, November 13th, Bridgestone Arena. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Presented by Red Cap.
Hey, it's Hutton. Guys, do you need an annual health exam? I recommend going to Low T Center to get your complete health assessment. They will check all of your levels, not just your T level. In most cases, it's completely covered by your health insurance. And if you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 for a full lab panel and an office visit with their medical provider to give you a complete health assessment. Low T Center specializes in men's health, making it quick and easy, even verifying your insurance. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Craneworks, the Southeast leader for crane and equipment rental, is looking for the best in the business to fill positions as qualified operators, truck drivers, and mechanics. Craneworks provides superior customer service and a superior work environment. Start lifting Nashville to new heights and apply today at craneworks.com/careers. That's craneworks.com/careers.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, I'm Gary Smith, head coach of Nashville SC. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Stillman and Company. Hey, be sure to tune into the college football game of the week this Saturday as MTSU takes on Louisiana Tech at 2 o'clock. The college football game of the week is brought to you by Twin Peaks, home of 29-degree drafts, wall-to-wall sports, and Superbook Sports, voted the #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today. Jason Fitz joins us from ESPN Radio, presented by Blood Assurance. Give blood, give local, save lives. Tennessee, Georgia this weekend. Fitz, do you think being ranked number 3 by the committee was an extra motivating factor for the Georgia Bulldogs? And do you think it is as incredibly ridiculous as I do that they have Ohio State ahead of Georgia?
I don't think it's incredibly ridiculous that they have Ohio State ahead of Georgia. If you take Georgia's one win against Oregon out of the equation, the rest.
Why would I take that out?
Well, because it gives you a sense of what the rest of the games were. So they played one tough game. Everybody else has been trash.
And who's Ohio State played?
I mean, Penn State right now is I guess the closest thing. They haven't necessarily played anybody great. They haven't played anybody terrible. I mean, the other part of that for Georgia's standpoint is that, you know, frankly, they've had some inconsistent moments in a couple of different games. Like, I'm not surprised Tennessee was number 1. That's what I predicted would happen coming into it. They have the best win of anybody in the country right now, so that makes a lot of sense. As for Ohio State, I mean, you can make the argument that Ohio State has done pretty well considering they haven't had Jackson Smith and Jigba on the field. You know, C.J. Stroud has played well enough. Georgia's defense has been better in every metric except for one that's going to be important this Saturday, I think, with the sacks. And, you know, Georgia's defense has played well, but Georgia's offense has been inconsistent. Their game control metric, I think, puts them at 4th in the country right now. Ohio State's at 3rd. Like, it's sort of a toss-up between both of them on almost every one of those metrics that we look at.
Do you think that it's a motivating factor for Georgia that they may play the disrespected card this Saturday, being ranked 3rd yesterday?
I mean, maybe to a certain extent, but I just don't believe that is as big a deal in a situation like this. Like, we talked about it before Tennessee taking on Alabama, and you know, would that moment be too big for Tennessee? And my answer to that was no. Like, I think at some point, the great thing that Georgia has going for them this year is that they can play a little looser and freer, knowing that they finally got the monkey off their back of the perception that they can't beat Alabama. They did that. They win a national championship. I thought that was really going to change a lot for the team moving forward for the next few years. I think it's part of why Stetson Bennett has played with a little more swagger. He feels a little bit more like he's man on campus, and rightfully so. I think Georgia's got a pretty good rhythm right now. This is just going to be an interesting matchup. Like, I don't think motivation is going to matter in this matchup. I think the ability to get after Hendon Hooker is going to matter. So, like, I think the little nuance of motivation, I mean, if you're Tennessee,
then, I don't think you sleep because you're number one. I think, if anything, it probably fires you up to go out and want to prove to the world you deserve that ranking. So we'll take that however we want to take it.
Jason Fitz is our guest, presented by Blood Assurance. Give blood, give local, save lives. Fitz, which team do you think is better? Not which team do you think will be better on Saturday. Not, with the home field factored in. Not, well, they got this quality win compared to that quality win. Like, which team do you like more between Tennessee and Georgia?
I think Georgia's a better football team. I think Tennessee wins the football game. So I think, for me, Georgia is just, they now deserve the same benefit of the doubt we've given Alabama for years on their ability to reload. And I guess I like that because I kind of predicted that coming into the season, that even though they're changing a bunch of people out on the defensive side of the ball, they've proven that they're a juggernaut recruiting every single year. They have a ton of talent. They've got coaches that know how to get it done. They got proof of concept with those coaches. They have proof of concept with their quarterback in big moments. I like Georgia a lot construction-wise. I think Alabama is clearly the third best team in the SEC right now. I mean, I think Georgia and Tennessee are both better football teams than Alabama. The thing in this matchup that I alluded to a minute ago, though, is the one defensive stat that Georgia's not better at this year than they were last year is pressuring the quarterback. They're not getting as many sacks. They're not getting as many hurries. They're going to have to make a real decision in this football game. Are they going to try and just get after Hendon Hooker with their front four? If they can do that, great. They haven't done that this year. If they can do that, then fine. If they can't, then Hendon Hooker will pick them apart. If they choose to start blitzing, then they're going to put themselves in weird situations because Josh Heupel just does a better job of scheming his wide receivers open than most coaches do in college football. So I think Tennessee wins this football game.
So how much do you value home field? Because we know what happened with the Tennessee-Alabama game. I'm not sure Tennessee wins that game if it's played at Alabama. The way that game went down, the 3 points, the field goal kicker misses the kick right there. If that game's played at Alabama, Tennessee squeaked by an eyelash. They won the game. But if it was played at Alabama, so what do you make of the home field advantage with Georgia having that this week?
So, I spend my Saturdays with A.J. McCarron, and every Saturday for the college football show we do digitally. And I asked him the first time we ever worked together, what's the key to winning on the road? And he said the key is you have to be able to score, not easily, let's say explosively. You have to be able to score explosively in a way that shuts a crowd up. And he has a great story of Florida where, in the game, one of the games he played at Florida at the Swamp, they couldn't hear each other in the huddle. They couldn't hear each other. They were having to call 5 plays at a time on the sideline during timeouts. And then all of a sudden they went on a run. So their first couple of drives were terrible. Then they pre-scripted what they were going to do on the sideline. They went out on the field. And once they got some big explosive plays, it just shut the crowd up. I think that realistically, Tennessee's offense is so explosive as long as the guys on the outside can get the calls from the sideline. And, nowadays we have so many cards and fun, stupid ways to do that. As long as they can get the calls from the sideline, I think they're fine. If this was Tennessee's offense is better capable of picking up huge chunks all the time than Georgia's is to me right now. So I think I'd be more worried about home field if it was an explosive offense. But Georgia's plan is going to try and keep that Tennessee offense off the field, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it. I think once Tennessee comes out and lays a couple of big touchdowns early, they'll be able to handle the crowd.
Jason Fitz is with us here on the program. What do you think is more likely? Tennessee wins the national championship or Tennessee doesn't make the playoff?
Oh, that's a doozy. So I think if Tennessee, I don't think. I'm so confident that Tennessee makes the college football playoff because I'm confident they win this weekend. If they win this weekend, nothing matters the rest of the year. They'll make the playoff, even if they lose the SEC championship game. So I think they're a lock for the playoff. So I guess it's more likely that they win the national championship than that they miss the playoff completely. But it's just winning the Natty is such a big jump, and I think so many variables to that. It's one of those things where I would caution everybody in the world, like, if you spend all your time worried about the national championship, then you didn't even enjoy the process that got you there. Like, if I'm a Tennessee fan, enjoy the fact that you're the number one team in the country, and you go into a game as the number one team in the country, still as an underdog according to Vegas. You can play that card too. You can get all chippy with it. Enjoy that and enjoy every week. Because I don't know, man, like when you get to the college football playoff, if I got one game and weeks to plan for it, Ryan Day is a hell of a coach in that situation. Obviously Saban's a hell of a coach in that situation. So I think it's tough to just presume that the entire coaching staff can out-handle other coaching staffs in the playoff situation where you have longer to plan for that first round particularly.
Fitz, what do you make of Tony Romo saying that Josh Heupel's going to be on the radar of every NFL team looking for a coach this year?
Yeah, I see. That's Tony Romo being stuck in NFL logic. And this is something that used to happen. So, there used to be this concept that college football got you to the NFL. Now you can make more money in college football on guaranteed contracts than you can in the NFL. And Josh Heupel right now is a rock
So then why do
star.
all those guys go? Why do all those guys go to the NFL?
I mean, do they? Dabo hasn't gone to the NFL. Saban
Nobody's
hasn't
wanted
gone to the
Dabo,
NFL.
but Urban Meyer went to the NFL. Matt Rule went to the NFL. Nick Saban went to the NFL. Steve Spurrier went to the NFL. Chip Kelly went to the NFL.
Yeah, okay, so if you go back to each one of those, Matt Rule went to the NFL out of Baylor, right? Matt Rule went to the NFL somewhere to a rare situation where he was actually getting substantially more than Baylor was going to be able to pay him. I mean, Lincoln Riley turns down the NFL every year. Hell, David Shaw turns down the NFL every year. But
That's the
Lincoln
biggest lie.
Riley
David Shaw ain't won a game in 5 years.
Well, okay, there was a period where he turned down the NFL every year. But Lincoln Riley, the Cowboys flat out wanted Lincoln Riley, and he went to USC. I mean, if you're in a situation now where if you are Mel Tucker and you win 10 games one time, you get $75 million fully guaranteed. That's more money than Josh McDaniels is making with the Raiders. So why would you possibly leave a situation like Tennessee's going to have to pony up, and Heupel's going to get a new deal that will be somewhere in the range of $10 million a year, and he'll get that deal on probably a 6-year extension. That's $60 million fully guaranteed in a situation where he's a rock star. He can run it back. If he loses a couple of games every year, he ain't getting fired. He's not getting run out of town. There are more coaches that stay in college football now than ever. I mean, if you're using the Matt Rule example, also everybody you just mentioned failed in the NFL and went back to college. So I don't really think that's if I'm looking at it from a college coaching standpoint, I'd much rather be Mel Tucker, have one great year and get rich than take that one great year, leverage it to the NFL, and then have to crawl back to college football with my tail between my legs.
Oh, I don't think those guys that do that think they're going to fail in the NFL.
I don't think they care as much about the NFL versus the success they're having and the guaranteed money they can make where they are now. I don't think
they
the
keep
NFL
going though. They keep going, Fitz.
I mean, did Jimbo go? The number you pick 4 or 5 examples of coaches that weren't as good as their records showed that they were in college, that went to the NFL and didn't have a success, other than Saban. I'll say Saban, that was a weird situation, right? But most of those other coaches, Kelly went back.
Jimmy Johnson went to the NFL. Obviously, he had success. Bill Walsh went to the NFL.
Yeah, but you're going generations back. I'm talking about right now. Right in today's world, why would Jimbo Fisher and Lincoln Riley take $100 million contracts to stay in college football if the NFL was so sexy? Because they got the biggest egos of any of the coaches I've ever talked to, and they're sitting there saying, all right, we're just going to keep running this back and making that money. Why would Heupel want to go to the NFL if he can make more money staying in Tennessee, keep doing exactly what he's doing in a system he's comfortable with people he enjoys, in a rock star environment where he doesn't have to answer to arbitrary owners, and he doesn't have to worry about a GM that's going to come in and tell him what he has to do, when he wants to do it, how it's going to be done. I think that all disrespects the concept of where college football coaches believe college football is right now. And I think if you talk to most college football coaches at the highest possible level, they don't look at the NFL as bigger or better anymore. And when I was a kid, they did. Now they look at it like, the NFL is its thing. We're our own sport, and I prefer this one.
That's a take. Jason Fitz, ESPN Radio, as always, presented by Blood Assurance. Give local, give blood, save lives. Fitz is picking Tennessee. Fitz, good stuff. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks.
Yep, Jason Fitz joining us on the program. Coaches thinking college is better than the NFL. Come on now.
It's because you think the NFL is better than college.
Or because all those guys have gone to the NFL.
All those guys. All of the 5 that you named.
Who's the best coach of this era?
Nick Saban.
And he
went to the NFL.
Okay, who's the second best coach of the era?
Did you say Chip Kelly?
Urban Meyer.
And he also went to the NFL.
Okay. And who is the best coach of the last era?
I don't know what you're getting at here.
Steve Spurrier.
Okay.
He went to the NFL.
Yeah. I'm not saying coaches don't go from college to the NFL, but I'm saying, is there a possibility maybe that there are some coaches out there that don't want to?
No, for sure.
It probably is.
For sure. It's like, well, Mel Tucker. And which NFL team was trying to hire Mel Tucker?
Are you going to know?
No.
Are you going to know that information if anybody was interested in hiring Mel Tucker?
Well, we know that they're interested in Josh Heupel.
Do we?
Tony Romo told us.
We can speculate.
Tony Romo told us. Jim Nantz. Yeah, I'm looking at you. You know something, Tony. No, I'm just saying, Jim. Oh, wow, what a throw, Jim. 615-737-1025. The Titans injury report is out. A Tannehill update plus 2 separate concerns as well surrounding Jeffrey Simmons and Derrick Henry. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company. And your latest clue. Who was the first team ever ranked number 1 in the college football playoff poll? Do you know the answer to this?
I do.
It's Mississippi State. So that's your second clue. And at some point in the 5 o'clock hour, you'll have to give the 2 clues to Ian. The first person to give Ian the clue in the 5 o'clock hour when we tell you to call Ian will win 2 tickets to see Tennessee take on Colorado at Bridgestone Arena. So there you go. You got your 2 clues. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The Sports Talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
Have they truly been tested yet?
I really want this to be a good game. Michelle and Junie, every Saturday morning at 9. Presented by Superbook Sports and the Nashville Jam Company.
I think Junie and I are going to go hit breakfast/brunch there after the show.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
We'll see mostly clear skies tonight with low temperatures in the upper 40s. We could also see a little bit of patchy fog develop early tomorrow morning. Otherwise, we'll stay mostly sunny through the day with highs going to the upper 70s. For Fox 17, I'm meteorologist Brett Luna.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game and a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks Man Cards are the perfect gifts for the sports fans on your list. Swing by Twin Peaks to purchase your gift cards today and get a little something in return. Offer available at participating restaurants.
In today's economy, employers and employees should be working together to create safe, good-paying jobs with no unnecessary government overreach. Right to work does not belong in the state constitution. Tennesseans, this voting season, vote no on Amendment 1. Visit TennesseeWorkersAlliance.org, paid for by the Nashville Building Trades.
Chronic joint pain has a snowball effect. It's not just the pain.
What that did is just make me depressed that I couldn't get back into the gym, and I was inactive, gaining weight. I had to find another alternative.
And for Chad, that alternative was QC Kinetics and the non-surgical natural biologic treatments that can give lasting relief to aching hips, shoulders, knees, and backs.
Once they explained it, it made sense. Putting what we have inside our body back into us in a certain strategic way to heal up in a natural process was fantastic.
QC Kinetics treatments take place right in the office. No downtime, no surgery. And as for the outcome,
I'm just back to bouncing around, having fun, doing my work, living pain-free.
Don't let chronic joint pain rob you of your quality of life. Discover advanced regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics. Call now to learn more. It's a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job?
Not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs
and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner?
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hungered in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerinAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Being part of Cromwell Media, who owns this station, is a big deal because it's our people that make us what we are. So we're saluting Nicola Spencer and our sales department for 18 years of service. Ted and Holly Klimkowski have put in 12 years as our engineering and IT wizards. Willie Donick, midday host on 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and voice of the Predators, celebrates 11 years this month. And Yvette Wright in sales passes the 1-year mark. We salute them all and invite you to join the team. Send us a note at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Chase McCabe.
The best way to figure that out is to watch Twitter.
Willie Donick.
Trying to move down the field for the winning field goal.
And Derek Mason.
I'm putting in my hours and I'm out of here.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, tune in for the pregame show this Sunday live from Twin Peaks in Cool Springs. Join me and D. Mace from 5 to 7 prior to the Titans and the Chiefs. The pregame show is brought to you by TriStar Moving, Parman Tractor and Equipment, Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, and Superbook Sports, along with Ounce of Hope Cannabis Company. Titans injury report is out. Ryan Tannehill limited with an ankle injury. That kind of expected.
That's fine, yeah. Then does that just prove to us that he was out on Sunday because of the ankle and not the illness?
So here's the tough part about that. He was asked what kept him out. He said it was the ankle. But then what Malik said was that he learned on Sunday that he was starting on Saturday when they decided to leave without Tannehill, which makes me think that one of those two is not telling the truth. And I don't know who the one of the two is.
Well, maybe the ankle wasn't super severe, and they thought, okay, we'll wait until the very last second.
We'll try him out at the game?
Yeah.
I mean, didn't they have to make that decision Saturday when they elevated Logan? Or would they have elevated
but that's
Logan
what I'm saying
and then deactivated him?
Is let's wait until the last second. And then
make the
if
decision?
the ankle's not good to go Saturday, it's not going to be good to go Sunday. So we'll go ahead and elevate Logan and name Malik the starter on Saturday.
Even though he didn't show up at all to the building on Saturday because he was sick.
Well, it was both.
So he couldn't test the ankle on Saturday if he didn't show up to the workout.
Well, can't you feel when your ankle's hurting? Even if you're not at the facility?
Well, don't you have to test it? You're not going to, walk
if I break my leg, I don't have to go to the Titans facility and then test it out to see if I broke my leg.
Yeah, but if you break your leg, then you're out. And there's not.
So was Tannehill.
You don't practice on Thursday, which he did.
He was limited.
But he practiced.
Yeah.
So make of it what you will. But the bigger story to me is Jeffrey Simmons, who was quoted in The Athletic as wanting a new contract, contemplated holding out a training camp, gave kind of a rundown of where the negotiations are with the Titans, which was that they don't know how much they can pay him. They don't know. They say that they won't be able to pay him as much as he wants, and they don't know where they'll get the money to be able to pay him from. In The Athletic, Simmons then later put out a tweet after we complained for an hour about that. Simmons put out a tweet saying that he's focused on his team and the game and not his contract, and yet did not practice today with an ankle injury. He did not practice last week with an ankle injury, but he did play like a bad man on Sunday, apparently with an ankle injury. So, I mean, he didn't look angry. He didn't look injured on Sunday.
Maybe it's injured ankle energy.
He didn't look injured on Sunday.
He did not. He looked very healthy on Sunday.
I mean, I'm keeping that one in the back of my pocket about, has Simmons basically gone to the Titans with the ankle flare-up and said, guys, I'm not practicing. I'll play, but I'm not practicing. I'm not going to get hurt in practice and screw up my new contract. Keep that in mind. The other one, Derrick Henry limited with a foot.
Yeah, that's scary.
A foot.
That is very scary.
Which foot? Where on the foot? Is it the same foot?
And how
is it
severe?
The same toe? Is it the same? Is it? They played on turf on Sunday at Houston. I mean, they gave him the ball 800 times in the last 3 games.
Yep.
Is it just like last year? Halloween, same time last year.
On turf, on the road in a divisional game.
After he got 800 carries for 5 straight games or whatever it was.
And I would say no, he wouldn't have finished the game, but he played with a broken foot against the Colts. What's your worry level for Derrick Henry? Scale of 1 to 10?
Like 2.
Yeah, I was going to say like a 5.
I mean, he still practiced today. I mean, but I'm just keeping an eye on that foot.
It's still concerning.
And we still don't know if it's the other foot. And
Yeah, we don't know anything about the foot.
It could honestly be like a blister.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, what if, he ran for 800,000 yards on Sunday. Maybe his feet are just a little bit tired.
Look, I've seen people that wear high heels and their feet hurt after like an hour and they don't carry the ball 30 times.
20 minutes.
So
and I'm maxed out.
It's like, that they'd probably be on the injury report when I hear about how bad those heels are. So Derrick Henry's carrying the ball 30 times. Not wearing high heels, but still. But again, foot?
Yeah, that's scary.
For Derrick? No. I don't like that.
Was he limited or out?
Limited.
Okay.
Limited today at practice. But then again, Tannehill was limited on Thursday at practice. Everybody tells me, he's never going to play. So okay, make of that what you want.
Well, he didn't play.
Joe Rexrode, he got sick. Joe Rexrode will join us coming up next for Jared versus Joe. I'm sure we got a lot to debate about between Tennessee and the Titans and this big game with the Chiefs. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
Predators win it in overtime. Touchdown, Tennessee.
We live the game.
My quarterback needs me to step up.
He can make a defense pay.
We are.
We got pass rushers.
Checkered flag in the air.
Awesome Game 7.
What a stop made by UC Sarah.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
When it comes to sports, it's all happening right now. Hey, it's Chase McCabe. Football, basketball, hockey, and soon enough, the World Cup. And there's no better place to wager on all of that than Superbook Sports. When you sign up, deposit, and wager in the same day, Superbook will give you a bonus up to $1,000. When the sports world is busy, it's time to get busy winning some money. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit Superbook.com to wager and win today, just like me. Visit Superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Men, are you asking yourself questions like, why am I gaining fat? Why is my energy or sex drive down and maybe haven't been getting the exercise you need? If you want to get back to the man you used to be but just don't have that youthful energy, that edge you once had, you very well might have low testosterone. Low T causes all kinds of issues, from a reduced libido, lower drive, and bad sleep patterns to problems with muscle gain, bone density, and more. It may even contribute to erectile dysfunction, and if this sounds like you, it's probably time to get treated for your low T. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've treated thousands of men for low T. We've seen them put on muscle, add to their energy, improve their sex lives, get better sleep, and just feel better. Plus, if you're like most men, you'll see results in only a few weeks. So make an appointment today and experience how testosterone therapy can truly change your life. Your initial appointment is only $99 with results in minutes. Call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra, results vary.
Calling all sweet tooths, head to Nashville Toffee Company, a place where rich, chocolatey daydreams are created from a secret family recipe generations in the making. Their toffees and candies are handcrafted in Nashville using all natural, kosher-certified ingredients. Sweet creamery butter, pure cane sugar, premium roasted nuts, deep rich chocolate, and sea salt. Visit NashvilleToffeeCompany.com or drop by their headquarters on Air Lane Drive for a positively hassle-free shopping experience. Whether you're buying for 1 or 100, Nashville Toffee Company is here to make your holiday gift giving easy.
The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the Game at 615-737-1025.
Black Friday deals are here earlier than ever at Electronic Express. Come into our convenient locations for great deals on all of your favorite brands like Samsung, GE, Microsoft, Cuisinart, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, housewares, furniture, mattresses, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express, we make it happen.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne,
Robbie and Rexrode, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman Company, Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome Game 7.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving 1025 1063. The game streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Joe Rexrode is with us. This is going to be the most explosive Jared versus Joe because we've got the two games of the week. We have got the Tennessee and Georgia game, the game of the season on Saturday, and then the 5-2 Titans taking on the 5-2 Chiefs. The battle for second place in the AFC in front of millions and millions of fans on Sunday Night Football. Get excited for that. And I know this happened because I listened to Robbie and Rexro this morning. Vandy in South Carolina is on Saturday too, because I heard Clark Lee on the show. So it's time for Jared versus Joe.
Jared Stillman versus Joe Rexrode. Now on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN
1025 The Game.
Joe! How are you?
Yes. Huh?
I said, how are you?
Hello? Oh, I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Let's go, Caroline.
All right. Joe, you go first. First question is, the Titans didn't do anything at the trade deadline. Can the Titans compete in the AFC as currently constructed?
Well, compete in the AFC, absolutely. They are competing in the AFC. Jared just said, they're playing for, they're playing to be the second team in the AFC now.
Double-digit favorite or dogs.
What's that?
I said double-digit dogs on the road at KC.
Sure, right. So that's the thing. We kind of had a similar question last week, right? Do I think that as constructed, they can win the AFC? It's hard. It's hard to buy that. It's hard to see that. I just don't think that that there's enough firepower right now. Can they transform offensively by January to have a better chance to win playoff games? I think so. I think they can be a lot different on the outside. They need some breaks. They need some good development. They need some health. They do have some different guys who aren't playing right now who might help them. Look, left tackle is left tackle right now. So I don't see how you're going to have any sort of acceleration there, any huge leap at that position now, given the roster, or, finding someone that you can sign off a practice squad to your active roster. So I think they can compete. I think they could win a playoff game at home. If that's what you're referring to, winning a playoff game at home against one of those other teams that aren't Buffalo and Kansas City, yes. Beating Buffalo and Kansas City, I don't think so.
So I don't think they can compete in the AFC, and the reason I don't think is because they have the 32nd ranked offense in the league, and there's no way for them to not be 32nd. In all seriousness, it's not like they're the 32nd ranked offense in the league, but Derrick Henry has been out, or Derrick Henry hasn't been playing great. Because Derrick Henry is playing great. Derrick Henry's the best running back in the league. It's not like they have the 32nd ranked offense and Tannehill hasn't been good this year. Tannehill, by Tannehill standards, has been pretty good this year. They just don't have anybody to catch the ball. They don't have anybody on their team that can catch the ball. And I don't know who was out there, and I don't know what the prices were, and I wouldn't have paid a second-round pick for Chase Claypool. Now, I would have paid a second-round pick for T.J. Hawkinson. And I'm sure that Detroit rather would have sent him outside of the division than inside the division. But they don't have anybody to catch the ball, and they're not going to fire this coordinator who, no matter what excuse Joe makes for him, he has always taken his offense back every single year. And I agree with Phil Simms. They are not going to be able to give the ball to Derrick Henry 30 times a game going forward. They're just not going to be able to do it. He got hurt last year. He's on the injury report, limited today with a foot, and they're still the 32nd ranked offense in the NFL. And if anything happens to Tannehill, God forbid, they have a quarterback who legitimately can't play quarterback in the NFL. No, they cannot compete with the Chiefs. They cannot compete with the Bills. They cannot compete in the AFC.
Okay, so you basically said the same thing I said, but okay.
Well, you said they could. I said they couldn't.
Well, you just said Bills and Chiefs, so you're telling me that they couldn't beat the Dolphins at home, the Chargers at home, something like that, and you don't think that this team – first of all, you don't understand
the Mike Mularkey Mariota Titans won a playoff game, Joe.
Okay. Well, so what's the
that team was never going to New England to win that game.
Okay.
Now, the 19 team, that team competed in those playoffs.
Okay, I just said they're not going to beat the Bills or Chiefs. So, I mean, you could really become a lot more efficient in your words if you'd like. It would help all of us.
Well, I have 4 hours to fill, so being efficient with words is not necessarily the way to go on that, my opinion. But I digress. What's next?
Jared, who should be the Titans' backup quarterback?
Somebody who is not named Malik Willis, because Malik Willis sucks right now. Sucks. I mean, again, everybody out there tells me all the time, hey, it was his first start. I'm like, okay. And that doesn't mean that he can't get better down the road. But right now, he stinks. And if something were to happen to Tannehill, like something happened to Jim Kelly in the playoff game against the Oilers and Frank Reich let him back, like something happened to Steve McNair against the Steelers and Neil O'Donnell had to come in the game, like something happened to Carson Wentz in 2017 and they had to go with Nick Foles and they won the Super Bowl, like something happened to Tom Brady the week of the AFC Championship game when he tore up his thumb, like something happened to Patrick Mahomes in the 2020 playoffs, like something happened to Jeff Hostetler, like all those times that a backup quarterback's been needed, this team would be screwed because Malik is, honest to God, terrible. I watched the tape on his 12 drop back attempts, 8 mistakes. 8 mistakes, including just seeing guys that were wide open and not throwing it. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, Malik is terrible. And somebody else needs to be the backup quarterback. I vote Sean Mannion on the Seahawks practice squad. Just go ahead and sign him and have 3 quarterbacks on the roster because I need somebody that can actually throw a pass in the NFL, and it ain't Malik.
First of all, I'm so glad we got some hashtag Jared's Film Room stats in here. Very, very helpful for the discussion.
Joe likes making fun of me watching tape because it's work that I do that he's not going to do. So instead of being like, wow, Jared, you really spent a lot of time watching this, and you're probably right because you saw the tape and I didn't, it instead is, oh, ha, Jared did extra work that I didn't do because I was too busy.
I'm not making fun of anything at all. And plus, I do watch the All 22, buddy. So
what do you think of Malik Willis on the All 22 tape?
Well, Malik Willis was terrible in any tape you want. You can look at it through a viewfinder. It's the same thing.
What specifically did you not like about Malik Willis from the All 22 tape, Joe?
Oh, my God, Jared, shut up. Listen to me.
Did you watch Malik Willis in the All 22, Joe?
Hey, Jared, what, the All 22? You need to see that to see him miss wide open guys? Wide open guys. Jigga Conquo, wide open, misses the throw. That's fine, Jared.
At least he threw the ball in his direction, which I can't say for Westbrook-Akina and Woods, and the one where Westbrook-Akina slammed his hands together because he was so mad when he turned around and saw that Malik had checked it down to Austin Hooper. But I'm going to guess you didn't watch the All-22, Joe.
I mean, dude, you actually need your own show just called hashtag Jared's Film Room. I mean, it really is. It's really impressive. Listen. The backup quarterback discussion is so dumb right now. They're screwed. Sean Mannion, bring in anybody that you could do right now. This team, you just listed a bunch of teams that were a lot better than this team. You just got done telling us they have nobody to catch the ball and can't compete. So you think one of those guys be better than Malik Willis? Sure. Does it make any difference if it's long term? Hell no. This team has no chance. So I'm fine. I mean, honestly, Logan Woodside would be better. Logan Woodside could run some offense and get the ball out and probably complete some passes. Okay, so I mean, but it doesn't matter. The Titans with Tannehill are going to struggle offensively with any quarterback you can acquire right now. They're not going to be good at all. They're going
to be better than they are with Malik.
Okay, but it's not good enough.
I mean, my whole point is we live in this society of anything can happen in these games. Once you get in the games, anything can happen in any Sunday. And I just know that if something happens to Tannehill and the Titans are in the third quarter of a playoff game and Malik has to go in, they have no chance to win. 0. If Malik had to finish the Colts game, they would have lost. He's that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree on Malik.
But Sean Mannion probably would. They would have won the game with Sean Mannion at quarterback if he had to go in up 6.
Then why not just go Logan Woodside?
I mean, honestly, I think Logan Woodside was so bad in training camp that somebody else should get the nod that knows the offense, like Sean Mannion, like Barkley at Buffalo, one of those guys. But
he's been here.
If you had to right now, if you were playing the Chiefs in a playoff game on Sunday, and not a regular season game, which quarterback would you make active for the backup spot behind Tannehill, Willis or Woodside? Quarterback Joe.
I just told you it doesn't matter. If you have a long-term loss of Tannehill, good night. Get a good draft pick. You're done. You're done. So, I mean, you're absolutely right that Malik Willis isn't ready, can't throw, can't process right now, can't throw accurately, do any of the mechanics that he's worked on, et cetera, et cetera. But, again, there's no answer out there. There really
isn't. You know how I know I'm right about that, Joe?
Because of Jarrett Filmer?
Because I watched the tape.
Oh, God.
Joe. Sit there. I watched the tape. What'd you see on the tape? Well, I can watch any tape. I love you, Joe. More Jared versus Joe.
I get it every week.
More Jared versus Joe. Just because you get it doesn't mean you watch it. More Jared versus Joe coming up next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at noon.
No matter the down and distance and no matter the score, they're going to give him the football.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Chase, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
I hope that they're not throwing flags simply because the league wants to see more of them.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
They are not as good at wide receiver and the playmaking department.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon. Presented by Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars and by Edley's Barbecue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
College football season is here finally. It's me, Caroline Fenton, and you already know that I am pumped up for college football season. And Southeastern Carolines, you know that 312 Pizza Company is my favorite place in town. 312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Music City. You can catch every down of the college football season at 312 Pizza Company from week 1 of the national championship. 312 Pizza Company is your home for college football season.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture, eat strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Do Tennesseans know every word to Rocky Top? Well, the construction industry doesn't call our area rock country for no reason. Harmon Tractor and Equipment is your tractor and equipment solution and Middle Tennessee's employee-owned Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. So if you hit rock, need a breaker, and it's time to dig, give them a call. Rent a track loader, an excavator of any size for landscaping, building a pool, construction, utilities, or more. Visit ParmanTractor.com, providing totally outrageous customer service.
Hal Gill here for my friends at Dunkin'. Everyone celebrates the holidays in their own special way, but you go twice as hard as everyone else. So does Dunkin', which is why they've created 2 espresso-rich holiday signature lattes. The minty, cocoa-dusted peppermint mocha and creamy cinnamon sugary toasted white chocolate lattes are handcrafted with bold espresso and topped with whipped cream to help you do the most this year. So swing by the newly remodeled Dunkin' on Bradley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and grab one today on the double.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app. Jared Stillman versus Joe Rexrode. Now on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game.
Caroline, the floor is yours.
After all offseason during training camp when Jeffrey Simmons didn't want to talk about his contract.
His what?
His contract. He talked about it with The Athletic and said that he would like a new contract. Should we be worried that the Titans might mess up Jeffrey Simmons' contract situation like they did with A.J. Brown's? Joe Rexrode, the floor is yours. Joe.
Is he there? Is he alive?
Hello, Joe.
And I was getting ready to bust his chops about the fact that somebody held at the Athletic.
Shoot, I muted myself.
Oh, Joe.
I muted myself. I'm sorry.
I'm saving that and sending it to Michelle.
Come on, Pop.
Yeah, worried? Sure. I mean, yeah, they could screw it up. But I'll also go back to what I said at the time. And I'll never be able to prove it because I don't know what it would have looked like. But this is why I thought, if you do this in camp and you get the clock started and you end up giving yourself some savings rather than let him have this ridiculous season, which he's right in the middle of, and then watching that price tag go up, which is exactly what's happening. So, again, I don't know what it would have looked like had they gotten it done, but I bet you it would have been a little more team-friendly than it's going to be now.
Well, especially considering that I don't think Aaron Donald was making $30 million a year then, but now he is. So, I mean, that's probably part of it. I don't think the Titans I just don't think the Titans are going to screw this up. I mean, I think Simmons is going to be a Titan for the long haul. But, they told us, we're going to work out a deal for AJ. We promise we're going to work out a deal for AJ. And then they didn't. And it was like we never really truly believed them. They haven't said anything about Simmons. I just don't think they're stupid enough to let Jeffrey Simmons go.
Did we not truly believe them? I think we did. It's easy to say that looking back.
I think you're right.
I think we believed them.
But we talked about it every day. I asked them at the draft thing if they were going to do it.
I don't foresee it.
Right.
But
I think for the most part, I can speak for myself. I thought there was a fraction of a percentage point chance that they might actually deal him. So, now, look, I agree. I don't think that they're going to. I don't think they're going to screw this up. I think they're going to get it done. But should you be worried? Look, hey, you never know exactly how things might go until they actually happen. And I think they should have happened already, in my opinion.
I think the Titans will sign Simmons to a long-term deal. I do agree with Joe. I don't know what's taking him so freaking long, but I do think the Titans are going to get a deal done with Simmons because they just can't not. They can't not get a deal done with Jeffrey Simmons. The AJ thing's bad enough the way that that's played out, but to not get a deal done with Jeffrey Simmons, it's like, why do you even have a football team if you are not going to keep A.J. Browns and Jeffrey Simmons? And not that A.J. Brown is at the same level of Jeffrey Simmons, because I still don't think A.J. is. A.J. is good. A.J. right now is playing like the best receiver in the NFL, but over like a 5-year period, I don't foresee A.J. being the most dominant receiver in the league, whereas once Aaron Donald retires, and he only talks about retiring every 5 minutes, so I'm guessing he's going to retire soon enough, and I think his contract is built for him to retire after year 2. I see Jeffrey Simmons as the most dominant defensive lineman in the NFL. Now, I haven't watched enough Chiefs, and they say Chris Jones is playing better than
probably
Simmons
get into your
this
film
year.
room.
Yeah, well, but I do think that Simmons right now, what he did the other day where he pushed the guard into the running back when he was being held, I've never seen that before. And so I don't think the Titans are going to screw this up. And not only that, how many more years does Derrick Henry have?
Over under like 2.5, 3.
Okay.
If
How many more years does Simmons have? 6?
I was going to 5+.
Okay. And when are they moving into a new stadium?
4 years.
Don't you need to have a superstar when you move into that stadium?
But who's to say they won't find a superstar in 4 years?
They might, but like Simmons is like a superstar that they have right now. Who's to say they won't? I mean, if they keep drafting Caleb Farley,
who's to say they will?
They won't have any superstars at that point. I just there's no way they can't not get this done. They will get it done because they can't not get it done.
But didn't we say that about A.J. Brown?
But we talked about A.J. Brown the week of the draft. I'm like, if you're going to do something, you better do it now because once you don't do it, there's no other way to get other wide receivers in here, and they did it. And unfortunately, the wide receiver that they did get is obviously not reliable at all. 10 catches. And then they took a quarterback who doesn't throw to open receivers. So make of that what you will. But they can't not get the Jeffrey deal done. The A.J. deal, I mean, I thought they would just, use the leverage and franchise tag him and what. Jeffrey, it's like hey, you have to keep this guy. You can't not have Jeffrey Simmons on your team. I mean, nobody would want to. If you lose Jeffrey,
they really needed to get into #Jared's negotiating room, and maybe it would have worked out. I mean, you see what we can do with this. We can have a lot of fun with this.
Hey, my contract that I put up there for A.J. Brown, he told TD he would have taken. So make of that what you will. What's next?
Jared, you go first. Should Tennessee fans be excited that they're the number 1 team in the country?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Don't walk back what you just went on and on and on your soapbox about.
I did not say they shouldn't be excited. In fact, I said they should be excited. Ian, did I not say they should be excited?
I think you said they should be excited.
Thank you. Now, there's the difference between you might have to get my music ready. There's a difference.
Please don't.
Between the number 1 team, big game against Georgia. This team, I believe in this team for the first time. This team, I really see something here. Georgia's going to be tough, but I'm really excited. I'm pumped for the game Saturday. There's the difference between that and going to Facebook and just sitting there and saying, oh, my God, I can't believe after all them years with the Clausen brothers, and then when we lost to LSU with Kelly Washington and Dante Stallworth and John Anderson and Albert Hainsworth, and then Philip Fulmer got fired, and then Lane Kiffin left after a year, and then Dooley had too many men on the field against LSU, and then he got fired and had to wear those stupid orange pants, and then we lost to Vanderbilt 3 years in a row, and then we were brick by brick, and then Jeremy Pruitt couldn't put a mask over his face, and we had Shiano Saturday, and all these, and here we are. The Vols have arrived. And I'm just so glad and so proud to be a Vol. And I'm going to buy a hat and a T-shirt to commemorate when we were number 1 in the first college football playoff poll of 2022. There's a difference between the two.
You feel better?
I mean, I'm just telling you that's what's going on Facebook right now. And I think that's
God,
too
that
much.
was awful.
Joe,
Just
do you
awful.
think fans have the right to be excited?
I said yes. I said they do.
But you don't mean it.
I said it.
You say that there is a limited amount of excitement that Tennessee fans are allowed to have.
Yes.
No, yeah, they should be excited, of course. I mean, look, and they should, and it's fine to put it in the context of the suffering too, because look, whether we beat Georgia or win the national championship or not, I mean, right now their worst case scenario is that they're going to have to settle for the Sugar Bowl. I mean, the worst case scenario is 11-1. And they are going to, no matter what, when the College Football Playoff Selection Committee convenes on December 4th, Tennessee is going to have interest in sitting there and going to have a chance to have their name called, no matter what happens from here realistically. Because the only thing that's realistic from here is a loss to Georgia. So, yes, they should be thrilled, excited. I mean, if Jared's saying, okay, this isn't the end of the road, you didn't win the national championship, fine. But, I mean, I think the Alabama game got a lot of what you just did a terrible job there of verbalizing, the suffering of Tennessee fans. But I think this is a milestone moment. And, look, 1 team ever in the history of these rankings that started number 1.
He's wrong about that. It's 2.
It's 2.
And his phone went out on him because Cricket Wireless does not accept those kind of wrong facts that Joe is putting down.
Cricket wireless
What'd
gatekeeping.
you lose? Did you lose me? I was making
we
great
lost
points.
you.
We lost you with your Cricket wireless.
God dang it. Sorry, you guys always get me when we're like going to.
But
a
your
play.
fact was wrong, Joe. 2 teams have started the poll number 1 and won national championships. It's the last 2.
Wait, I said one team didn't make the field.
Oh, who was that? Mississippi State, 2014?
That was Mississippi State. All the other teams made the field who started number 1. So, again, no guarantee, but they are right in there. They have a chance to win a national championship, and they really do have a chance to win a national championship. Tennessee fans should be, it's almost too much, too soon, but they should be thrilled.
It is too much too soon to where he's going. Like the whole, they have a chance to win the championship, and
They do have a chance to win the championship.
They do.
Let's get to Saturday.
You don't think they do?
Let's get to Saturday. I think it's great for them. Let's play the game Saturday. Because Saturday we're going to see who's number 1. Even though the committee, might put Ohio State in there.
But even if they lose Saturday, they have a chance to win the championship.
And whatever that bull crap's called. Make of it what you will. Last one.
Joe, John Hines. Still get a C?
This year definitely does not get a C. This year is lower than a C. What's John Hines' 10-game? I'll tell you this: John Hines' Continental, Western Hemisphere, or Continental United States. How about North America? John Hines' North America grade is an F. Okay, you happy? His North American grade this year is an F. It's bad.
What's his overall grade this year?
You can make that an F2. I'm giving him the 2 against San Jose. It looks very promising. Very nice wins over in Europe. No, it's bad. Now, is John Hines? Is it his fault that all these guys who are getting paid a lot of money are not producing or not finishing, et cetera, et cetera? And, there's limitation on credit and blame that realistically goes to the coach. But bottom line is, if they're a win, we'd be talking about the great job he's doing. Again, I agree with your criticism of what Poyle said. It's mind-boggling. Like, the coach there's no accountability at all. I don't get it. So, yes, fine. Give him an F right now.
Here's the thing that's crazy about Hines. I really don't think Hines is the number 1 problem for this team right now, because I see people say things on Twitter like, he's lost the team. And I'm like, I've seen teams where the coach has lost the room. He hasn't lost the room. He still has. They played hard last night, and they didn't quit even though they were getting their rear ends kicked. And that's a sign, that the team is still fighting for the coach. The reality is, though, Poyle's not going anywhere because they've said that Poyle's not going anywhere. And so the players aren't going anywhere because they all have unmovable contracts. So what are they going to do? The only option is to fire the coach. If they keep trending in this direction, the only thing they can do by Thanksgiving is to fire the coach. And, again, I'm not necessarily sure that Hines is doing anything to make it better. I'm not sure Hines is really doing a whole lot to make it this bad. But they're just limited by options because they won't do anything about David Poyle. So if you're not going to do anything about Poyle and you keep letting Poyle sign these guys to immovable contracts, you can't move Yossi, you can't move Forsberg, can't move Johansson, can't move Duchesne, what are you going to do? There's nothing they can do other than fire the coach.
I'll just repeat. And look, if it's absolutely in the toilet, you go another 10 games, it's this bad, then I'll start to entertain that as a possibility. No league fires coaches more than the NHL does, more frequently and more quickly. It's the least job security of the 4 major pro sports leagues in this country, or I guess in North America. But again, I'll repeat. If we get to the point where they fire John Hines less than 3 years after David Poyle went out and handpicked him and fired Laviolette, and then he keeps his job, just talk about an absolute sham that Poyle would get to do that again and pick another coach.
You don't think we're already there?
It hasn't happened yet. I'm saying if it actually happens, then I think you're probably right, and we basically got the word that we don't know hockey. David's great, but that's just not how professional sports should work.
I don't disagree, but the Dallas Cowboys are never going to fire their general manager in large part because he owns the team, and this apparently is kind of like that. And so, I mean, I'll just say it to you like this. If things don't change by U.S. Thanksgiving, Hines is gone. I mean, he's got to be, right, by Thanksgiving?
Boy, that's fast. I mean, if they don't win between now and Thanksgiving?
No. If things are like at this same pace where they're winning like 1 out of every 8.
I don't. I mean, look. At that point, I suppose it would be Hines' watch. I guess I'd be a little surprised if it actually happened that fast, but yeah, it's possible.
Oh, I think we're on Hines' watch as soon as this road trip's over if it doesn't get better. But who knows?
You've been on Hines' watch the whole time, so.
I mean, I don't think that. I mean, you know, I'm with you that I think the roster is the bigger problem than the coach itself, and I don't think he's lost the room. I really don't think he's lost the room, and I think that should be noted. Like, I think that's a big deal. You know, I'm not some bobo that's just going to be like, oh yeah, fire. Like, no, like if you know, he hasn't lost the room, but yet they're not going to do any of the other things that teams that you know that are not doing well do. They're not going to move out players because they can't, and they're not going to move out the general manager. So who do you move out? You can't keep telling fans, buy tickets to come to the arena to the team that wins 1 out of every 7 games. You can't do that. You can't say, well, they almost won the Flyers game. Buy your tickets. Caroline, who wins?
Joe wins
Caroline,
this week.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jared.
You win this week, Joe, just because of Jared's whining.
You're mad about 4 o'clock. Caroline's mad about 4 o'clock. She's
because
now,
of Jared's whining.
By whining of what?
Tennessee fans.
What I whine about?
Oh, wait. That was you.
You know they're doing that on Facebook. You read it.
Absolutely, I know they're doing that on Facebook.
So all I'm doing is telling the truth.
But I'm saying they're allowed to do it. And you are saying, okay, Tennessee fans, you have this much happiness, so use it sparingly.
I think
you are gatekeeping happiness for Tennessee fans.
I think that reactions should be tempered, yes.
I don't.
Okay, well, I'm going to treat that.
And that's why you lose.
That's how I'm going to feel about everything now going forward.
Okay.
I'm going to be the guy that...
Caroline.
Yes?
Hey, can you imagine if we put hashtag Hines Watch and hashtag Jared's Film Room? My goodness.
Hey, I'm not the one who's wanting to fire the hockey coach. You're the one who's sitting here giving him an F. Not me.
Oh, wow, the tables have turned.
Joe Rexrode for Jared versus Joe. Your phone, 615-737-1025. And the Jeffrey Simmons story started by Jeffrey Simmons, then attempted to be ended by Jeffrey Simmons. We'll get to that. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. They are proud supporters of the Vols, and they were proud supporters before they were ranked number 1, and they are proud as heck of the Vols that they're ranked number 1 right now. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Fall means cool weather. That means you need to make sure your family is warm this winter. This month, take advantage of Hiller's Happy HVAC Comfort Bundle, which means an HVAC replacement, germicidal UV light, extended 10-year warranty, and you'll get a free solo smokeless stove. Or get a free solo stove with a new whole home generator or whole home water filtration and descaler. Plus, Hiller is offering 0 interest for up to 12 months on these purchases. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services Free guarantee, and I know this because I use Hiller. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Vols, the Preds, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face truck today.
This is Tanner Janot, and this is Smashville.
And now down the right wing side, Tanner Janot. His shot, he scored! Tanner Janot with the shot!
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network. ESPN 1025, The Game.
When I came to Genesis, I was completely shocked and surprised.
That's Tara Michelle, but like so many of her customers, she's made the switch to Genesis.
Now working at Genesis, I'm able to offer my customers more inventory, more selection, better pricing, better warranties and guarantees.
And Tara loves that now she's got access to the top designers and all the latest ring styles, over 4,000 choices.
The picture that she's captured on Instagram, they show me that picture. I don't have just one option for them. I have plenty. And we're going to hit it out of the park every single time. I'm not only getting the customers exactly what they want style-wise, but the price is going to be unbeatable. Without a doubt, hands down.
And unlike the other stores, Tara's not working on commission at Genesis, so less stress for everyone.
I'm not putting pressure on the customer to purchase because no one's putting pressure on me to sell. I have the freedom to make it a personal experience for them.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 1025 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Signs First, Nashville's leading locally owned and operated sign and physical media company, has been supporting local community organizations for over 30 years. Signs First offers a 10% discount to all churches, nonprofits, and charities. Go to sfnash.com.
Are you suffering from chronic joint pain like Heather?
I have terrible arthritis and have had it for quite a while, and I've gone to all kinds of doctors trying to figure out what to do, and everybody just said surgery, and surgery was months of rehab, and I didn't want to do that.
But then Heather discovered QC Kinetics, local medical professionals who specialize in natural biologic treatments, non-invasive solutions designed to repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints. And she absolutely loves the results.
I like to tell anybody who's suffering that there are options that are not steroids, that are not surgery. You owe it to yourself to find out about QC Kinetics and find out what they can do for you.
No surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Discover QC Kinetics and learn more about natural biologic treatments with lasting results.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. Don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of Chase, Willie, and D. Mace, we'll continue to look ahead to Titans Chiefs, Vols in Georgia. We'll talk to Elliot Friedman, Sportsnet at 1 o'clock. Plus, don't forget, silly underdog picks at noon. It all begins at 10 right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
What's happening in Nashville? This is Scott Van Pelt. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Jeff, how you feeling about your contract situation right now?
Not talking about contract. I'm in camp. Worrying about football.
Would you like to see something done if...
I am not talking about contract. I'm focused on football. I'm in camp. I'm here. I'm trying to be the best I could be as a football player. Everything else take care of itself.
I just want everybody to know that I loved that when it happened. And now that Jeffrey Simmons in the middle of the season has talked to The Athletic about his contract, I think I love it even more.
Why?
Because it's just
it's ironic?
Right. It's like, oh, I'm here at training camp. I'm not talking about contract.
Because at training camp is when you focus on football.
Yeah, here in the middle
and
of the season.
not November.
Yeah, you know, screw. Hey, it's a Sunday night football against the Chiefs. But we did find out that he didn't say these things this week. But Jeffrey Simmons told The Athletic, quote, I want to be in that talk that Jeffrey Simmons is a dominant player up there with Aaron Donald because, quite frankly, when it comes down to defensive linemen, it's like he's the only one in this league based on what you see on the internet. I feel like I'm dominating. By the way, Simmons at minicamp was like, he doesn't compare himself to anybody. He's only out to be the best he can be, and now here he is, you know.
Which is it, Jeff?
Simmons said, talking about his contract, it was the discussions with the Titans. We want you to be here. We don't know exactly when we'll be able to pay you, he says. The Titans were like, we don't know if we're going to be able to offer you what you think you are worth. We want to pay you, but we don't know where it's going to come from. That's basically what it was, not an offer. At one point, Simmons, according to The Athletic, thought about decided against reporting to training camp, but he ultimately decided to play out his contract. Quote, what I'm making this year, some guys who just got in here are making. When you talk about D-line, you have to think about the number one guy in the league, Aaron Donald. I'm making $2 million. He's making $30 million. And then Jeffrey Simmons today. So those quotes got dropped today. We talked about it for a whole hour. After that, Jeffrey Simmons went to Twitter, quote, listen, I love where I'm at. I love this organization and most of all my teammates. I am not worried about a contract. I am focused on winning. Next story.
Please. All caps.
All caps. And everybody on Twitter has replied to that with, yeah, we love you, Jeff. You're the man. You know what you do. Okay.
Well, he told the story.
He started the story, and he's now trying to end the story. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Do you have a thought?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, I understand Jeffrey Simmons wanting to kind of drop little Easter eggs here and there for the Titans to be like, look, what the heck? Like, I want a new contract. I'm unhappy. And then also turning around and saying, I love this organization. I understand that clarification, but saying, next story, please. That's where the disconnect is for me.
Yeah, like you started it.
Yes.
It's like, can we just forget this happened?
Like, I don't blame him.
No!
I don't blame him
You
either
lied
way.
on your taxes, you go to jail. Like, I mean, come on now.
I don't blame him either way, though.
Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Craig, up next on Simmons and AJ. Thank you for calling. What you got, Craig?
Well, I'm almost ashamed to call in and agree with you, but you were talking about Simmons in relation to A.J. Brown earlier. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of hand-wringing going on. When we got rid of A.J. Brown, he was kind of being a brat. If we'd have held on to A.J. Brown, we might not be able to keep Simmons now. And when you said something about A.J. Brown's doing great this year, judge him over 3 to 5 years, I agree. I'll take Simmons, and we'll talk in 3 years, and who's the best player then.
So I think right now I'd rather have Simmons than A.J. Brown. I'd like to have both, but I don't think that's the choice you have to make. Thank you for the call, Craig. I don't think that's a choice the Titans had to make. And I'll tell you why I don't think it's a choice the Titans had to make. Because the Titans went on record saying, we want to give A.J. a contract. They, or TD sources, told TD that they were offering $20 million a year for A.J. Brown. Now, when they offered A.J. Brown $20 million a year, do you think they were thinking, well, we're not going to be able to keep Jeffrey Simmons if we sign A.J. Brown to this contract? Or do you think they envision their future with both A.J. Brown and Jeffrey Simmons?
I have to think they looked into both or all of the possibilities.
Both! They're not getting rid of Jeffrey Simmons. So the idea, well, the only reason we can pay A.J. is because we didn't pay Jeffrey Simmons is not true. Because they were going to be willing to pay both. So
Do we know that they were going to be willing to pay both?
I mean, I guess John Robinson didn't tell me when he was telling everybody that he wanted to sign A.J. Brown. He wasn't telling me, if we do this, we can't sign Jeffrey Simmons. But I don't think the Titans have ever considered their future without Jeffrey Simmons. I think they've considered their future without Derrick Henry more than they've considered their future without Jeffrey Simmons. Now, here's the wrench that's going to throw a whole thing into this, is Tannehill's going to be the quarterback next year. So that's going to be another $40 million. So if you believe in the cap and other things like that.
But it's also cash. Like
No,
that is
money.
a check that Amy Adams Strunk is going to have to write.
That is real money. Ryan is up next on John Hines. Thank you for calling. What you got, Ryan?
Hey, Jared. I've been with you the entire time about Hines. I said it was a mistake day one. But to be honest with you, on top of Hines gone, it has to be Poyle gone. He's had 3 head coaches. He's been in the league, I don't know, over 50 years, never won anything. He brings in all these, on this year's free agency, we had money, and he brings in a bunch of AHL players. He keeps one in Sherwood, and now he's on waivers because he didn't pan out like everyone knew he wouldn't. So it's like, how many more mistakes is this organization going to keep giving him until they finally say, hey, you got to go? I know Howard will take over in a couple years. And hopefully, if he does take over, he'll clean house because something needs to go.
Infinity mistakes. Thank you, Ryan. Infinity mistakes. Like, I am at the point, like, I'm not even angry about this anymore.
About Hines?
About Poyle and Hines. I mean, I know what this is. The Predators they have average players. They don't have any A-plus level players. None. Maybe Yossi. But, like, what we're talking about with Simmons and Henry, they ain't got those guys. They ain't got the guys like the guys that you saw last night. They don't have those guys. And they're not going to get those guys because they're never going to be bad. Well, maybe this year. But they'll probably never be bad enough to draft those guys. And then even when they do, they don't draft very well. And they certainly don't develop forwards very well. But I'm not even mad about it anymore. I just know that, David Poyle will have the job as long as he wants to have the job. And he will not lose the job. And that is what it is. And there you go.
That's an awfully defeating feeling.
It is incredibly defeating, but it is what it is. So, decide with that what you want to do with it, but that's what it is. David's their hockey expert. Herb Fritch, the owner, told me that. He's the hockey expert, and he's not going to fire him. And so there you go. It is what it is. And it's not probably going to get better. Maybe it'll get better than it is right now because right now it's terrible. But as far as, like, competing for a championship, it's probably not going to happen. And it's just going to be what it is. That's all I got. And I'm not even mad about it anymore because now I know what it is.
You're not holding out hope at all that, let's say, hypothetically, David Poile fires John Hines, that there might be a coach out there that David Poile finds and hires that could be the key?
No.
Why?
Because the player acquisition has been horrible around here. I mean, Cody Glass got scratched last night. They've been starting him on the second line for the 2 games before that.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times over the last year have they shoved Cody Glass down our throats?
A lot.
I mean, they did a whole docuseries about how Cody Glass was great. Hal Gill's telling us he's going to be a superstar, and now he's scratched. Like, newsflash, he got drafted 5 years ago. The league knows he ain't that good. But they keep telling us, oh, yeah. It's like they asked David Poile what they thought of Cody Glass on the second line on the Midday Show the other day. And David Poile was talking about how, he's done some good things and he's done some inconsistent things. And, we'll go from there. And I'm like,
it's not a ringing endorsement.
Did you expect him to do better? Because that's what AHL guys do. Is they do some good. That's what Rocco Grimaldi does. He does some good things, and he does some bad things. And he's never going to be good enough to play on your team if your team's going to compete. But it is what it is, so I'm not getting worked up about it. 615-737-1025. Okay, we gave you 2 hints, 2 clues, 2 schools. Be the first person to call Ian with those 2 schools. And we did this earlier in the show, so if you weren't listening, shame on you. You're going to have to listen to the whole show tomorrow. But be the first person to call in to tell Ian who those 2 schools are, and you'll be going to watch the Tennessee Volunteers take on the Colorado Buffaloes at Bridgestone Arena on Sunday, November 13th. Be there to witness the Vols in action as they take on Colorado. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Presented by Red Cap. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. I love the FanDuel Sportsbook app, and football season is rocking and rolling. So now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just sign up with the promo code JGM. FanDuel has all of your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props, and you can combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. Get paid your winnings quickly, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So sign up with the promo code JGM for your no-sweat bet. That's promo code JGM, and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days, and restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
We'll see mostly clear skies tonight with low temperatures in the upper 40s. We could also see a little bit of patchy fog develop early tomorrow morning. Otherwise, we'll stay mostly sunny through the day with highs going to the upper 70s. For Fox 17, I'm meteorologist Brett Luna.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey, it's Hutton for the Low T Center. Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Schedule your complete health assessment at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored self-injected home testosterone treatments for $155 a month cash pay or covered by most health insurance. If you don't live near a Low T Center or you just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Hey, it's Jared. Are you looking to move? If so, do yourself a favor and reach out to my friends at TriStar Moving. You can be assured your move will be stress-free because they've got new utility vans to help with pack jobs to separate your high-value or fragile items from the bulk of your furniture, and their movers are carefully picked and highly trained. No one in the game is doing this. TriStar Moving is raising the standard in the moving industry. When you're ready to move, give them a call. TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, or online at nationalmoving.org/radio, and tell them Jared Stillman referred you for 10% off. That's TriStar Moving.
Yo, Pablo Torre here, host of the ESPN Daily Podcast. When you want to go beyond your feed, when you want to get inside the score, when you want to get behind the highlight, there's ESPN Daily. Go deeper into the stories of the moment. Get the exclusive access and insider perspective that only ESPN can give you. ESPN Daily, hosted by me, Pablo Torre. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Chase McCabe.
Competition in all positions.
Willie Donick.
You know what? I went on the radio and I tried.
And Derek Mason.
The man that sleeps on the floor never falls out to bed.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
And I hate to say this, if I was him, I wouldn't play another game. That's just me. I'm just saying me because, you know, you get hurt, you have zero leverage. Now he has leverage to say, you know what, I want to get a big payday to set my family up for the rest of their life. So it's not just about him. It's more variables that are intertwined in this thing.
So if you were Jeffrey Simmons, you would come out on Wednesday before the Kansas City Chiefs Sunday Night Football game, and you would say, I am not playing this weekend because I want a contract and I'm not going to risk it.
You know, the reason why I would say that because it would it would get their attention. That's just my. It would definitely get their attention. Be like, okay, you know what? We got to go down to Kansas City and we're going to have to play our best game to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And all of a sudden, you say Simmons doesn't show up. That gets their attention to say, you know what? We got to make sure we keep this guy in because we can't win without him.
There you go. Chris Sanders thinks Jeffrey Simmons should hold out. That is a hot take.
Hot take.
Hot take from Chris. That is some crazy Uncle Chris right there. Jerry is up next on Simmons and AJ. Thank you for calling the show. What you got, Jerry?
Well, you need to pay Simmons. You let go of AJ, and you're overpaying Tannehill. If Tannehill takes a pay cut, you can balance everything out.
How are you overpaying Ryan Tannehill?
Because he's not worth the money.
Ryan Tannehill makes $29.5 million. The going rate for a starting quarterback is $45 million. Where are they overpaying? Tannehill is probably like, what, the 17th best quarterback in the league?
Middle of the road.
Okay, they're paying him $29.5 million. The going rate is $45.
For an elite quarterback.
I know for Kyler Murray.
But he's not an elite quarterback.
They think he's an elite quarterback.
No, they don't. They just pay him because he starts. Like, I hear what you're saying. Thank you for your call, Jerry. I hear what you're saying, but it's like the idea. Tannehill's making $29.5 million a season. If we're doing it by the season, because even though, you know, cap numbers and how much you make this year and the cash value, and we can get but again, everybody likes the annual value of the contract, which actually never matters in an NFL contract, but they do. $29.5 million for Tannehill. Kyler Murray is 46. Deshaun Watson is 46. And he's getting all his money, apparently. All those guys are in the 40s. Everybody who starts, for the most part, who's not Baker Mayfield, is in the 40s. So Russell Wilson's $49 million. Aaron Rodgers is $50. So I don't think that you can make an argument Tannehill is overpaid. I think there's a better argument that he's underpaid than it is that he's overpaid. So again, it's $29.5 million.
Right.
It's $29.5 million.
And that's also the way that the contract falls.
What do you mean?
The timing of the contract and the market for quarterbacks. Like, Russell Wilson is making all that money because Deshaun Watson is making all that money, and that elevated the quarterback market.
Tannehill signed for $29.5 million, and weeks later, Mahomes signed for $42.
And Patrick Mahomes is a much better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill is.
Right, but the market for the starting quarterback at that point was reset. So, I mean, those guys have all signed. You know, like every contract, and that's just how it is. Kyler Murray makes more money than Josh Allen. Like the next guy and the next guy and the next guy.
That's what I'm saying. The market changes and the time changes.
But Tannehill at that point was still $29.5 million when the market was 40. Now the market's 46, 48, 49, and Tannehill was still $29.5 million. And he was coming off of the Pro Bowl. Like Tannehill, in my opinion, Tannehill is underpaid. Preds Insiders. I'm sure Robbie has all the answers for what's wrong with the Preds. That's next. And the World Series game number 4, God, I hope Houston wins, is tonight at 7 o'clock. Stillman and Company. We'll see you all tomorrow.